Defining Duke is brought to you by Manscaped. Yeah, it's the start of a new year. You're setting your sights forward, and I imagine you're all setting some New Year's resolutions for yourself. And that's where Manscaped makes not only the perfect partner for below-the-waist grooming, but also the perfect partner for a New Year's resolution. Like, I swear solemnly that I will take great care of my below-the-waist area. That's with the Performance Package 4.0. You're going to find the Signature Lawnmower 4.0 with an electric trimmer that allow you to trim some of that hair, but not tag up the loose skin. So if all of this interests you and you want to take great care of yourself, go to manscaped.com and get 20% off and free shipping with the code DUKE. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code DUKE. It's a new year, no pubes in 2022 with Manscaped. Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here, and welcome to episode 53 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. As always, I'm joined by the very refreshed, very official Lord Cognito.
Yo, Matty, Happy New Year, sir.
Happy New Year to you as well.
Happy New Year, man. The Dukes are back, 2022. You know, we got to wipe the dust off. Good vacation. Got a chance to relax, recharge the battery, so it was needed.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely good to be back. And what a day to be back.
Oh,
we
yes.
got stuff to talk about. How are you doing, sir? What's going on?
I'm doing quite well. Just like you, some much needed R&R over the break. Got to pull out and really recharge. And I'm looking to maintain this, right? Like, once you realize what it's like to enter your work cycle not half dead, I'm just like, okay, I need to keep this. I need to keep this mentality, this emotion. So really happy to be back. And Xbox has hit the ground running this week. So we got plenty to get into with that, with new day one Game Pass additions, studio openings, a studio head leaving. We're also going to talk about Ken Levine and a recent article about him, and plenty more that occurred throughout the holidays. Some of this news will be admittedly a little bit older. We're doing some catch-up work, like with what's going on with Remedy and Tencent. So just keep that in mind, but that's towards the back of the news list. Anyways, what's really interesting about today's number one item on the news report is our first ever Defining Duke episode was about this rumor. So it's amazing that our first episode 1 year later is about the continuation of said rumor. It feels like it was meant to happen. So I can't wait to see what happens at the start of 2023. With that said, we've got ourselves our Defining Duke Ultimate show, which is available for patrons. Episode 49 is out there right now. It's Halo Infinite spoiler cast and review discussion with Mr. Chris Raygun, Lord Cognito, myself. We go in for almost 2 hours, I believe it was, on everything for this game. A lot of it is also spoiler free. So if you haven't played it, which I'd be surprised if one of our listeners hadn't played it yet. But if you have not, it's a good 45 minutes to an hour of just spoiler-free discussion. So you can enjoy a lot of this episode. And then the rest of it, we go in.
That was, bro, let me tell you, that was a great episode.
I agree.
We hit a lot of different aspects, had a little debate, had some fun.
Yep.
Chris brought it, you brought it. It was great. Great. Please check that Ultimate out, man. I love Defining Duke Ultimate. And when we get a chance to do it, of course, when Chris comes on, it's always fire as well. So check it out, y'all. Check it out. It's on that Patreon.
Right there. So click that link. While you're at it, I want to make a New Year's request. We have been, the audience has been edging us quite a bit here, okay? We've been on the hedge of 500 reviews for our mobile side of things. Now, we reach out to close to 15, 20,000 people every episode. I think there's a lot of you who have been snoozing on this. So the New Year's resolution is you will review our show and give us 5 stars. I'm kidding. But if you got the time, it does help. And also we are close. So I was just like, you know what, let's nudge that along real quick. Okay. Once it's at 500, I'll stop bugging you for a while until the number bugs me again. And then I will continue to annoy you.
I'm with it. Hit that review. Yes. It helps. It really does. It grows what we try to do here. And we really appreciate the support. So make sure you go hit that.
We also got some before we begins. I have some reporting to do of my own at the end of this, but we want to talk with the audience first. Adam Turley writes in, hey guys, no question today. Just want to let you know I was sick with COVID over the holidays, and it was the DD episodes that gave me some reprieve. I had to quarantine away from the family during Christmas and New Year's, and listening to the Top 5 Game Pass episode, Top 5 Games episode, gave me much needed mental break while recovering, feeling better now. Just want to say thanks. Have a Trey Lance finally getting his shot to start the day.
Yo, Niners reference was going on. Trey area, I see you. But salute to you, man. I actually listened back to that episode 2 days ago. I really enjoyed that episode.
Yeah,
that episode was fun. It was a classic banter. Mm-hmm. I mean, one of the rants of all rants from a man, Matty. People are hitting me up, man. You got Ibatis. He ready to revolt. He's such a Deathloop fan.
Someone did a video about me about my rant on Deathloop. I was like, okay, like that's fine. Like if I'm going to be loud and proud about the opinion, like I love it. I love to hear that the audience responded in kind.
Listen, salute to the audience, man. They rolled with you. Yes, they gave me my fraud alert. I happily accepted. I told y'all I was waiting for Game Pass. I told y'all. But for everything else, man, that episode was fire. And salute to Adam. Yeah. I'm glad we gave him some respite and he's feeling better. And yeah, man, Trey area. You already know what it is.
100%. Let's talk to Rubanos as well. Hey, Lapdance Matty and Lord Cog the Conqueror. I just like the difference, man. The difference is unreal.
He's always big titty this. Yeah. Batman, like you just the slime ball. Yeah, you're like the twirling mustache villain of the Dukes. Like it's crazy. Look at you.
Happy New Year, and more importantly, happy birthday to Defining Duke. I've never owned an Xbox nor been a part of the ecosystem until a year ago when I started listening to the Dukes. I still can't get a Series X, but I will happily enjoy your weekly content until the day comes. I sincerely want to thank you both for your weekly positivity and telling people what they need to hear. I also thought you should know I listen to DD and Ultimate while I do my weekly meal prep, so I'm always appreciating the health is wealth reminders. Cheers, boys, and have a drunk on non-alcoholic sangria kind of day.
Salute, Roberto. Salute, man. Salute to the health as wealth thing. Yeah, man. Look, I hope you get a part of the ecosystem. It's real fun. A lot going on. Again, I love hearing the comments like yours where people say, "Hey, I'm interested," and because of the Dukes, you know that they're listening. So, and the last thing with the health as well, like Matty said so eloquently, sleep is important. I realized it as well during this time off. Getting proper rest is a difference, man. Yeah, it is a difference.
I noticed it with me. I would have these short-circuiting brain moments where I'd feel it stop working. And getting proper rest, it's been kind of eliminated entirely, where I was like, okay, I think I'll be better for my job if I'm actually getting the right amount of sleep. Go figure.
Absolutely. Thought process, energy level, it really affects you. I mean, we've been able to power through it over the years, just being as concentrated, being so busy. But when you get it, it's like, oh, wow, I'm even better. Like I can, you know what I'm saying? Like your energy, your thought process, you're just more creative. I love it.
Absolutely. Last little write-in comes from Zachary Bryan. This one's for you, Cog. Yo, Dukes, I have to ask this question as I already know Matty's stance on this. This is from Ham Radio Live. Cog, what's your opinion on Crocs? Keep an open mind and don't let Matty here influence your decision.
All right. I don't know what your stance is, so that's for the record. So I don't know exactly what your stance is.
I'm not going to influence you.
So there's no influence, but Cog is not a Croc guy. Sorry, Matty, if you are, but I'm not an open toe kind of guy. Let me, just for context, how ridiculous I am, right? I'm from the South Bronx. People would laugh at me. King, if you're listening, you know exactly what I'm about to talk about. Is that when you're in the South Bronx and you're from New York City, and the kind of like you do everything you can to cover your feet, like socks at all times, fresh pair of socks, you know. And then what we do, which is probably ridiculous to other members in other areas of the states, right? We actually wear sandals with the socks on. Oh, no. Yeah, it is ridiculous. Like, dudes from inner city, we are weird. We do not, anything with the toes out, we're not about it. Unless you at the beach. Like, you got to be literally at, and it's not a lot of beaches, more pools in the urban area. Right. So, yeah, the Crocs kind of fit with that open toe out thing. And it's just the way I'm programmed. It's always socks on unless I'm at the pool or unless I'm at, a beach officially. So that is my stance on it.
No, I'm with you. I
Oh,
am
wow.
100% anti-Crocs. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not for it. I don't like the idea of these floaty plastic objects just sitting on your feet. I don't know how to define it because like they don't even strap across the top of your foot. It's like this little back heel clip that just hangs there. And I've even been sent by this fine gentleman like fluffy Crocs where they stuff the inside with fur. And I'm just like, no, this is worse. And then I've been told they're edible technically because of the way they're made. It's like, I'm not going to eat them. You know, like you can eat shit off the ground technically. It's like, doesn't mean you're going to. It doesn't mean it's going to be good. You just can eat it and not die. So I'm just very anti-Crocs. I think Zachary and many others have just pushed me further down that road. And that's not out of stubbornness. Like I already had this opinion. And as they brought the facts my way, I was like,
Ooh.
I'm just not feeling it even more now.
What's the facts?
Well, those types of things, like you can eat them. They are comfy. There are multiple ways to do them. They're dog walkers, is what I call them. Like if you show up in public with them, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's either you've been taken for like 5 years. At that point, you're just like,
are you implying this is the married dude, relationship dude concession wear?
Absolutely. Because when you're pulling up, it's like, who are you impressing? Right? Come on. They're not stylish. This come from a man who owns like 5 pairs of Vans, though. So.
Listen, we all got our thing. Crocs ain't it for me. Well, salute to you. Salute to the Dukes of the Crocs. That's all y'all. Get your open toe out. Do what you do. It's just not for Kong. It's not for Matty. We just not a croc kind of dudes. That's all.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you pull up to a Last Stand Media meetup and I see the Crocs, I'll probably have something to say. I'm just letting you know.
We judging?
Yeah, I'm just letting everyone know. If I like look down and I see the holes on your feet, I'm like, what? What are you wearing out here?
So what you doing? Oh man, we going in. I love it. That was hilarious.
Thank you, Zachary, for writing in. Last thing I just wanted to do before we talk about what games we're playing and do our warm-up questions, I was looking for like a good window to talk about this. I was like, do I put this in our news or not? I did this in a video to start the new year. I wanted to share it also with the Defining Duke listeners in case they didn't watch said video. I had some scoops on Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake that I wanted to share. I've been sitting on these for 3 months-ish as I've done some research. Yes. Yeah, a little bit. And so I broke it on the channel. I just want to put it here too. So I apologize for the reiterating in case anyone knows already. But as we already know, this is on PS5, but this is also coming to PC. So I think it's relevant to our audience in a way. So this was verified through a number of sources that I had gone back to. There is stuff I know that, just like Colin mentioned with BioShock on my video I did with him, I just can't speak about yet. But this is a source that like told me about the KOTOR port. They've told me about when the announcement was coming for this game. They've told me about a number of things that have proven their legitimacy at least 4 times now, where I can kind of go out and say like, all right. And I've also gone to other sources and like re-verified this information. So I feel comfortable sharing it at this point. So we've seen on job listings already that there's going to be some form of action combat in this new remake. What I've learned, though, is that there will be multiple gameplay modes. Of what that is has not been described to me. I do, this is speculation, envision something kind of like Dragon Age Inquisition maybe, or Final Fantasy VII Remake, like that active battle where you can pause it in real time and make certain moves with your party members. But what was told is that the combat was inspired, just inspired, doesn't mean it's going to replicate it, by God of War and Neo 2, which doesn't really fit either of the molds of multiple gameplay modes, I would say. Like Neo 2, you have multiple stances, which would change how you play. But that was what was told to me on that front. The rest is I think interesting, but less grabby. Stuff like they're staying faithful to the main story. That's still the claim. Everything with the main story is not being changed, apparently, when it comes to anything regarding like race, age, who's in the story, how they interact. Apparently, that's all staying relatively the same. Faithfulness will be a priority and continues to be. They're re-recording the entire original soundtrack. So that means that Jeremy Soul's score should be remastered in this, which would be great to hear. Because again, that to me is just like iconic. It's hard to imagine that game without it. And I'm excited to hear new renditions too.
Nice.
There are returning game mechanics apparently that fans will be familiar with. Swoop racing will be back. and Pazak will be back. And I thought these were kind of lingering question marks that I were good to firm up, because with feature creep, as we've learned with Halo Infinite, where like things can kind of stack up, KOTOR was a game that did a lot of things. It was kind of like The Witcher 3, where it's like, oh my God, there's a game within a game, and you had Pazak and you had swoop racing. It kind of had that effect. I've been told that these two will be back. To what extent and how they will play in Control, I don't know. But beyond that, it's not just the remake of current stuff. As I've stated, there's also going to be new content like quests, for example. So there will be new things to see in this game for people like myself who have played it a lot. So I just wanted to share all that. That's all I've had that I did want to share. Again, that was in a video on my channel. I wanted to put it out here for the audience in case they missed that video. Cog, any thoughts on the scoop?
Man, I'm excited. That's huge, bro. That is really cool. I like the balance, which you're mentioning in reference to, still staying faithful, but I actually like remastering music wise of certain, the classic themes and tunes. And then, also what you're saying as far as like the question, there's going to be a couple of new things for people that are returning, because let's be honest, we're vets, right? So the vets kind of know everything front to back. So it's cool to get a little bit of new, right, as well. So sounds ambitious, man. Sounds cool.
Pretty big thing for their first AAA project, which there's some nerves with that for sure. But I think they're doing, from what I've seen, a good job. So we will see in due time. I will continue to share more on whatever games I learn, but I just know KOTOR has been so far the most consistent, accurate offering. So just wanted to follow up on that, share that with the audience. Now, with that out of the way, Cog, let's talk about what games we're playing, shall we? Yeah, we've had the whole holiday break to just hop into a bunch of different stuff. Let's see, what have you been playing?
All right, so I got a plug. Yes, this is the home team. Calculus, I know I got a plug. But look, one of the experiences that really blew my mind was this game called Demio. And, people were telling me about it. It was one of the number one VR games of 2021. And I'm like, okay, so somebody described it as Dungeons and Dragons meets Diablo meets XCOM. So when they said when they said the second too, I'm like, ooh, I'm in. Now, I am not, for the record, Cog is not a Dungeons and Dragons guy. I don't play it. I don't know about it. It's just that I know people who are hardcore, who do the real life get together thing, right? I've never engaged in it, right? So I'm like, all right, but the XCOM and the Diablo 4-player cooperative thing kind of grabbed me. Bro, this is my new favorite game right now. I am thoroughly addicted to this game. And the reason why I'm bringing it up as well here is because it is doing so well, right? Because you got your classic classes, you got your knight, you got the, the assassin, the mage. I'm
watching the trailer right now. Keep going. Bro, this is, wow. Okay, keep going.
Say what you're going to say.
I'm just looking at like you actually putting your hands on the board.
Bro, you're in a virtual basement like of your house, somebody's house in the 90s, right? Then they got the table. You can manipulate the board how you want.
What are these cards? What are these cards?
Yeah, bro, the cards are fire. And then each class has their own cards. Then it's very difficult. The challenge is there and you got to work together. You got the XCOM movement where it's like a chessboard. You pick them up, you can move them across the board. Like, it is fire. This game, let me tell you how fire this game is. Addict is the number one VR hater I know. Like, he is like, this is garbage. Like, I'll never do VR. I said, yo, bro, just try this game with me. It was me, him, King. Man. Next thing you know, Matty, 5 hours went by. And then when we got, he was me up like, yo, bro, like, I just keep thinking about that Demio when we go play again.
Yeah, man. This is hard to watch because, like, I got so many bills coming up right now. I'm just like,
listen, don't worry, you good. Let me tell you, this is the hope now. The hope now, it is doing so well. They've added new adventures. They added a new character, a bard, and a PC version. The Steam version is coming in April. What I'm hoping Xbox get with these dudes, resolution games, and it's gonna have full crossplay with PC. Bro, this game is fire. They better, I'm telling you right now, make the call. Get this on Game Pass. Do it. They're new. They're hungry. They did Angry Birds VR. They got a history. Like, they're VR studio primarily, but they're blowing up. So anyway, that was that. As far as my regular
Discovery.
rotation, obviously it's been Destiny 2, the Dawning event. It's kind of like a New Year's. Snow is in the tower. It's fun. You bake cookies. It's goofy. I always liked this. One of my favorite events. Halo Infinite multiplayer still rocking and rolling. Shout out to the Tenrai event, actually having challenges that I can do daily to advance. Shout out to them putting cosmetics inside the thing. It's not all swap challenges. Good job, guys. Doing better. Anybody with the cat ears, I'm shooting you on sight. I'm shooting you on sight. All you
spent
cat
$10
ears
on cat ears, right? It's like Crocs. It's the Crocs on Halo Infinite.
Yo, you foul for that? That was hilarious. But it's something innately that makes me want to kill the cat ear people. So I'm with you on that. So I'm having a ball with that. And then the last thing was fun for New Year's tradition with the homies. We usually friends and family go up to Connecticut and we watch the ball drop. But before that, we do the dinner, the drinks, all that. And yo, I brought the Switch through.
Oh, okay.
Brought the Switch.
Okay.
I've never played Overcooked before. Oh boy.
Welcome.
Oh boy, that causes problems between friends.
Oh.
Have you played Overcooked with people?
Yeah. I got a video on my channel of me and my girlfriend playing it, man. You can watch it developing in real time, like the tension.
It's like I need the burger. Who didn't cook the burger? Yeah. What's going on with the lettuce? Who didn't chop it? Move the thing. Like it's hilarious. And shout out to Overcooked 2. It's on Game Pass, I believe. So they told me start with Overcooked 1. Me and my peeps were getting into it. So we're burning, messing up food recipes. Yep. It was just, it's hilarious. That is a fun collaborative game. So that was everything I did over the holidays. Nice. That was kind of the rotation.
For me, I went full palate cleanser, right? You know, I've been playing all these games for reviews, these Xbox exclusives. I've been knee deep in these Game Pass games. I went the opposite way, and I only went that way. I sprinted that way. So, Samurai Warriors 5, let's get it started. I'm a big Muso guy, I've realized. You know, when I was playing, I was like, you know, I don't get them all on launch day, but I always make my way around to the Muso game. And for those who don't know what a Muso game is, it's these mindless hack and slash beat 'em ups. There's just a ton of progression things, like your weapon leveled up, your horse leveled up, your character leveled up. These gems within your weapon leveled up. Just very much a messy hack and slash game where you run through like Nobunaga's ambition or different periods of the Chinese Empire, and you just plays these significant characters that are like godlike figures in these games and take out thousands of foes. And honestly, I realized that this is an important game for me because I'm always consuming stories and narratives over and over and over and over, and it's like you just sometimes need something. Like Halo Infinite multiplayer was good, but just hack and slash, like I don't need to pay attention every cutscene. I gotta be real. No disrespect to the team, it's been skipped. Like I just don't care. Like I'm here for one thing only. If you're a Japanese history buff, there is something to check out here, I think. But like it's just it's the Warriors games, man. And I'm a big fan of. I've been a fan of Warriors games since Samurai Warriors 2 Empires, where you could create your own character. You could pick any like weapon from all of the cast. You could pick any armor. You'd run around and like level up your empire. The Empire games are so much better. And with that said, I believe it's April this year, Dynasty Warrior 9 Empires.
Yes.
So I'm getting ready for that. I'm thinking I'm going to dive into that because I, as much as I know these other games call my name, I feel like the Warriors games are just important palate cleansing titles. Just the mindless beat 'em ups where I sit in Discord, I chat with my friends, and I'm just like passively playing. Like even Halo Infinite to some extent, like I got to gear up. With Samurai Warriors, you don't.
Okay.
So I indulged in that. I'm about 15 hours into it. Almost done with Nobunaga's story. They also have a Citadel mode, which is kind of like a very light version of Empires, where you can level up your blacksmith.
Gotcha.
You can level up your stables, that type of stuff. You get components by completing battles. It's really, honestly, not that great. And you could tell they were more inspired with their like spinoffs, such as Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors, those things that they do. Yeah. And for those who are interested in Warriors games, One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 is on Game Pass now. So if anyone's ever interested in playing one, just based off what I said. The other game I played, I wish Dustin were here for this because we went back and forth on this on Ham Radio. I've been playing Trails in the Sky.
Ooh.
So the Legends of Hero series is one that spans across many games. There's it's honestly, I'm going to talk about this for a decent amount of time. So let's just buckle down.
Let's get down.
Right. So What's so impressive about the Trails of series is that they managed to connect so many narrative threads across different games and different timelines and almost make their own MCU, if you will, but it's not this multiverse BS. So one way I can explain this, and those who have played it will know what I'm getting at, is there's this game called Trails of Cold Steel, which takes place in this country known as Erebonia. And there's things that happen in that game. And I'm like, I don't really know what happened here. Like, oh, this Bracers Guild was attacked. Now I'm on the second game in Trails in the Sky of 3. And you kind of learn like what happened in Erebonia through these games.
Okay.
And it's just an amazing level of like world building and characters counting. I love their attention to detail because JRPGs are typically built in a very specific way of prioritizing combat and leveling up. Like that's really what they're built on, and especially if they're action RPGs. This is turn-based, and every single story in a Trails of game is this: you begin, you go, what are they doing? Like, this is so tedious. It's a fetch quest. I remember for one of them in this game, I had to run to the Menoria village, talk to this person. They're like, this guy I saw went east. I'm like, okay, like, let's just go east. And it's like, no, talk to this person here in Rouen. They're like, yeah, we saw they went north. And you're doing all these things like, oh my God, just let me go. But then you gather and you look at your map, you're like, this person said east, this person said north, and you like triangulate where to go. Okay. Nothing, pretty much what happens is its biggest strength and weakness. Nothing goes unexplained. So when things happen, payoff is always amazing. But you will go a little bit fighting with the game because it's very old school in its design. So what that allows is some good character development in between those moments. But it's a very slow moving JRPG series. And again, I played and beat the first one. I did enjoy it. I do think it has some pacing issues. It could have been definitely cut down like 5 hours easily. And that might be being generous. The second game, I'm almost 10 hours in now. And that is also kind of feeling the same way. It's a little bit of that, oh, this could have been cut down. Oh, could it have been though? Because now we got to that point where everything like triangulates and connects. And you're like, well, could the characters have realistically known that if they didn't go through those tedious objectives? Gotcha. But otherwise, just this has been an enjoyable romp for me. I really do like the Trails series. I played Cold Steel 1 and 2, and then I stopped there because in Cold Steel 3 is when they start to do that MCU stuff. Like people from all these other games start to come in. And there's Cold Steel 4, which is apparently like everybody's here, like a little Smash Ultimate type thing. So apparently, I think at the end of this year, because there's 3 Trails in the Sky games. Okay. And then there's Trails to Azure and From Zero, I think they're called, which are coming out at the end of this year, which are the Crossbell arc is what it's called, which is another country with another storyline. And once you play all of those, my friend who's like a huge Trails expert has said, you can go into 3 after that for Cold Steel. I'm like, oh, there's just so much here. There's so much here.
Lore.
So yeah, so impressive world building.
Quick question. What was the controversy with you and Dustin in reference to this game?
I sold him on Cold Steel and he hated it. Like he just hated it. I remember actually when we all got to Dustin's house, that was like the first game I saw on a shelf. I'm like, oh, Cold Steel. He's like, yeah, fuck you. He was mad. Yeah. Because I sold him. I was like, Cold Steel 1 at least. I'm like, it's kind of Persona light. You know, I said, but once you get to the end, I said, Dustin, I was like, I hate to do that to people because these games are long. Even when they have turbo mode because they're so long, like you can fast forward stuff. So what turns from 90 hours is actually 50 hours, but 50 hours is still a big commitment. And I'm telling Dustin, I'm like, if you get to the end, it's worth it, man. Like then it just kicks off from there. Yeah, and so I might have wasted his time a little bit.
Shout out to Dustin. Oh, by the way, I got a plug. That DBO game I talked about VR earlier. Yeah. Because I saw Mr. Dustin could fly. He's also an Oculus owner. I did see that. Yeah, he got DBO. I saw him play. I got to talk to him about it. I want to know what he thinks about it, man. I'm dying to talk to him about that.
Yeah, because I think Ben got a Quest 2, and then our good friend Jimmy Champagne also got a Quest 2. And Jimmy Champagne. Yeah, and I was talking to Jimmy, and he was like, you should get one. I told him about my bills. I was like, dude, I'm fucked right now. I can't. Just wait. Yeah, right. And so that's the goal. Is that we could have a big like last stand gathering of VR and like do
that'd be fire.
Big Demio session.
That would be fire. A lot going on in VR. PSVR, a lot of stuff happening right now.
Absolutely. Defining Duke is brought to you by Manscaped. Yeah, it's the start of a new year. You're setting your sights forward, and I imagine you're all setting some New Year's resolutions for yourself. I'm going to go to the gym more. I'm going to shop a little bit less and save my money and go on vacations instead. All of these are fickle. One thing that's not, though, that matters to every man listening to this is ball cleanliness. And that's where Manscaped makes not only the perfect partner for below-the-waist grooming, but also the perfect partner for a New Year's resolution. Like, I swear solemnly that I will take great care of my below-the-waist area. That's with the Performance Package 4.0. You're going to find the signature Lawnmower 4.0 with an electric trimmer that allow you to trim some of that hair, but not tag up the loose skin. But every grooming routine isn't complete without applying Crop Preserver and Crop Reviver before showing off your brand new 2022 self. So if all of this interests you and you want to take great care of yourself, go to manscaped.com and get 20% off and free shipping with the code DUKE. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code DUKE. It's a new year, no pubes in 2022 with Manscaped. Anyway, that's what I'm playing. Shout out to Trails and all 5 of you who've played it. Let's do our warm-up questions. We'll get into a big week of news, starting off with Not Skywalker. Dear Dukes, here we go. 2020 attempt number 3. This took me a little bit to get, but when I heard, I was like, that's actually, I get that. I like that. I envision we will start to look ahead about what's to come for Xbox. Redfall, Starfield, Stalker 2, and Crossfire X have been presented as by many as all we have coming this year. For this early episode, I think it's worth recapping some of the other announced console exclusives slated for 2022 tentatively. These include, all on Game Pass to my knowledge, Tunic, Scorn, Warhammer 40k Darktide, Shredders, Somerville, Replaced, Nobody Saves the World, Arc 2, Loot River, and Slime Rancher 2. As Dusk Falls and Forza Motorsport are also speculated to be 2022 releases. Framing the conversation with these in mind, what's our gut check for 2022? I think the addition of a few third-party Game Pass deals and some unexpected announcements, by the way, this is written before today's news, could make for a pretty fun year. Cheers, and wishing you anti-2021 energy, Aiden. Thank you, Aiden. So yeah, I thought this was the obvious starting point, a gut check for the new year and where we're at with what's coming up and what could be announced. How are you feeling about what is there and what could arrive?
It's so funny that Not Skywalker had this question, because coming into it, I'm like, look, man, y'all know how I feel about Starfield. Like, that is like the quintessential game. That is probably my most anticipated game, period. Like, that's just where I'm at. Now, I got to be honest, right? Prior to what the things we will be talking about later on in this Duke, I'm very concerned, because I'm like, I don't know if that's enough, because I saw what's going on with Sony. And that lineup, if I recall, you Horizon Forbidden, was it Forbidden West?
Yes.
Right? Yep. Okay. Horizon Forbidden West, Gran Turismo, Forspoken. You know, you're talking about...
Man, God of War.
Right? And we're thinking that we're going to frame that at some point. You're talking a killer lineup.
Yeah.
Like bang, 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 bang. From like, Sifu. That's my genre. I know people don't sleep on it. I like Sifu. I'd be at Xbox. If that was an exclusive deal, I get it. But if when that exclusivity ends, get over there. That Sifu, I am all about that. So I'm looking at it like, look, I told the Xbox community 2021, in my opinion, Xbox edged it out and Xbox had it. They had too strong a year to discount. It was tremendous. And a variety of titles. And then obviously the big shebang, Forza, Halo. But this year, I'm very concerned. Now, prior to what we're going to talk about, I was like, they're going to have to do things to mix that up, to make people forget. And we will get into that. But that was my mindset at the point of this question. I'm not going to spoil, because we're going to talk about what we're going to talk about.
Right.
But I want your thought prior to the news, prior to the stuff we're going to talk about later.
I think even post number one news item, I think that there's still a battle to be had here. I think there's work to be done. I think what we have to really look at is, I am a big BGS stan. A lot of people know this. I love their work. We don't know yet what Starfield quite looks like. And while it is, I'm with you, like my most anticipated game of the year, we're talking about an unknown quantity in a manner of speaking. Same thing with Redfall. We're talking about a co-op arcane game, which all these could turn out to be bangers. Really, the only one we've seen extensively is Stalker 2 and Crossfire X, which I don't think is enough for the whole year. Now, keep in mind, we're also adding in what Not Skywalker's mentioned, like Tunic, Scorn, Warhammer 40k, Shredder, Somerville, Replace, Nobody Saves the World, Arc 2, Loot River, and Slime Rancher 2. The last of that, Slime Rancher, should not be underestimated. That is a big game for them to get. But, you know, obviously you can't make these first-party exclusives spawn out of thin air. So on that level, Redfall and Starfield will have to be enough, because Stalker 2, we've learned through the Epic Games court case, is around for 3 months and then it's leaving Xbox. Yeah, it's not really in the scheme of competition. PlayStation fans have no problem waiting that long, right? And they absolutely should. Like there's nothing to leap out and get your Xbox for 3 months. Like it's just you got to have something more permanent. So it's really going to be a battle of Starfield and Redfall right now versus, I'd say, Horizon and God of War. And I'd say, you know, right now on paper, PlayStation looks to be sitting pretty. Now, don't get me wrong, I will not count out BGS, who, as well as Arcane. But yeah, I think that their ability to respond is going to be in the third party with Game Pass. And I know I've beat this drum since last year, so I don't want to sound too redundant here, but I really do believe that they need to find some type of deal to not get a game like we're going to talk about later, which is that questionable quality budget title where, yeah, it's money saved, I guess I'll try it, but get the game that people are really looking out for, that third-party game that people are hungry for, that there really aren't many question marks for. And I'm talking like, I don't think this would ever happen, but I'm talking like Elden Ring, like a level of like, you know, right? And people have played it now. I've played it. And I'm like, this is, out of everything I played, like most anticipated. I mean, you know, of course, Starfield, most anticipated, but I don't know enough about that, right? Where what I have played, I mean, Elden Ring feels phenomenal. So I think that's where Xbox needs to go, because it is what it is, right? They have a good lineup, one that's worthy of excitement. But if we're talking direct competition here, I think there's some spaces where you can impulsively battle back with Game Pass. You have that ability to do so because money, and they should try to. So that's how I feel about heading into 2022. Happy with where we're at. Of course, with As Dusk Falls and Forza Motorsport being possible announcements, I think there is more on the horizon for this fall, plus like a Halo expansion. There is going to be a lot of stuff for us to talk about, play, be excited for. But I do think third-party Game Pass deals need to be a priority this year, especially.
Absolutely. Me and you have the same mindset. That's why I told the community, like, look, remember I told people about the popping bottles mentality. People were, you know how they were, Matty. You seen them. They were like, it's over, bro. You know, calm down. 2022, Sony is coming. And like I said, me and you, what I love what you said is we're both objective. As much as we love Starfield, we're objective. They still have to execute. They still have to prove it. And we still have to see the rest of the year, right? So these third-party deals are going to be huge for them to try to ward off Sony, because I'm telling you right now, when that marketing blitz happens for Horizon and Gran Turismo and God of War, you better brace for impact. They're going to dominate the news cycle. I don't care what's going on. And we have to admit, the track record says that those games will be quality for the most part. It's rare nowadays for Sony's to wait that long and they're like, damn, it bombed, right? At the very least, it's usually, 7 to 8, 7 to 8 rated or whatever, 80 Metacritic, whatever. It's generally in that range, but we'll talk more about it. But I'm glad we talked about this topic. It's a good question.
Let's talk with Dylan now. Hello, fellas. After the release of Forza Horizon 5, Phil Spencer was quick to share that it was the biggest launch in Xbox's history, and the number of people playing the game hit an impressive 10 million. My question is, where are these numbers for Halo Infinite? Since the release of the multiplayer and the campaign, they have both been 1 and 2 on the most popular section of Xbox Game Pass. More specifically on Xbox, Halo Infinite's multiplayer occasionally flip-flops with Fortnite's on the free games list. Pretty impressive to me. Are they potentially waiting to announce Halo's numbers with new Game Pass subscriptions, or is there a new king in town and its name is Mr. Horizon? Thanks, and have an A1 day.
Ooh, I like this. I like this. It is interesting, right? We still haven't gotten the official statement, on what's going on and stuff like that. All I've been tracking is that most games played, they usually they kind of hover between 2 and 4, which is impressive for Halo Infinite multiplayer, right? In the mix with Fortnite, right in the mix with Call of Duty Warzone, Grand Theft Auto. So the engagement is there. It is interesting. It is interesting. I want to see if there's still an internal target that they want to hit so they can mention, hey, that we've got these amount of subscribers as a result. Now we've hit said number. I am curious on Game Pass subscriber growth, especially after the 1-2 punch of Forza and Halo. I'm dying. I think we still got a couple of weeks more for NPD. Remember, I'm very curious about that, right? Yeah. Because, especially the single player portion of Halo Infinite, how did that do kind of thing? But I think it's interesting. But then again, to Dylan's point, what if Forza is still rocking and rolling? We don't know. Like, this is interesting. It's a great thing to track. What do you think?
I think the numbers for Halo Infinite are pretty good, where I'm wondering if this is a situation where the product kind of speaks for itself. And the reason I say that is there the possibility that, and I know Forza's not slept on numbers wise, but publicly, conversation wise, even when we went to the Game of the Year talk, I think it is, where maybe Xbox identified that Forza could benefit more from the hype numbers bump and the this is our biggest game, presenting it as that, this is, and getting that mentality that people like myself go, what's the big deal? Forza's the biggest game. Forza, a driving game, what I'm saying, a racing game.
Right.
What? I wonder if that helps that game more compared to Halo, which not that you don't know Forza Horizon, but I feel like Halo is known for, since Xbox first began, where we already knew there was hype, there was excitement, it was vocal, there were videos everywhere, there was news outlets covering it, giving them the accolades, putting them in the Game of the Year list. I feel maybe there was that chance that Forza just earned more from putting those numbers out there, because historically speaking, Xbox doesn't talk numbers, right?
Yeah.
Never. So we only learn about them when we talk about it here on the show through earnings calls. Yes. So to my thought, I just believe that maybe Forza benefits more from putting out the player count there. And just that. And also celebration, right? Hey, people finally really widespread give a shit, including me.
Yeah, let's be honest. I mean, Forza was the shining star of their worst console generation, right? The Horizon series really took flight, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, during the Xbox One. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Era, right? That was the thing. That was the lone thing besides, and thus the joke, Halo, Gears, and Forza. That was what they had, right? But Horizon was that thing. Horizon 3 specifically. I remember this is a game changer. So yeah, it could be what exactly what you're saying. And listen, they're sitting on 2 back-to-back months with November and December of 2 big, massive games that we would assume did well. And I think it bodes well for them in this sense. Because I was worried, and remember we talked about this, we were worried that Halo would steal the thunder of Forza, and is it a mistake, right? Yes. So the question now becomes, with the 2 side by side, did it actually keep people in the service? Did numbers go up? I can't wait for the data. That's what I want.
Or I got to just pose for conversation's sake, the opposite. Right. Did Forza hurt Halo?
Yeah.
I mean, look, I know it sounds silly, and I don't think that's what happened, but you got to ask that question too with how big the game is.
It's valid. And here's another caveat too, in the sense that, again, outside of the States, it almost reminds me of soccer and stuff. American football is big here, right? But when you go to Europe, they're playing real footballs, aka soccer to us. So we know in other markets like Forza, it's huge. In Mexico, they do what? Maybe Forza is more of the global brand than we even think. We're going to learn a lot about this, but it's a good problem to have, right? You have these 2 franchises. One is iconic, that's been there from the beginning, and one is this developing, budding thing that this arcadey type racer that people are gravitated towards. It's good to see. I just want to see how it translates.
I agree. Numbers hopefully coming soon. Let's talk with Walker Simmons for another 2022 gut check here. This one from a slightly different angle. Hey, Dukes, I'm curious who you think will have a better year in 2022, PlayStation or Xbox. I'm hyped for a lot of PlayStation games in the first half of the year, like Horizon, possibly God of War, Gran Turismo, and Sifu. Meanwhile, Xbox has Starfield and Redfall, which I'm curious about. What can Xbox do to shine this year? Is Starfield enough, or do they need to make some big plays for day one Game Pass games? So far, nothing has convinced me to stay subscribed to Game Pass other than paying $1 on PC to play the Halo campaign and then canceling.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah, this is the question. I'm glad this is being brought up because this is my question. Like, what are y'all going to do? This is a new year now. To me, it's the way I look at it is like sports. This is the new MLB season. Last year was last year. What are you doing now in 2022? And we're going to learn a lot. And we have to, see what Redfall does, right? There's a lot of pressure on Redfall as well, just to see, not say pressure, but just to see that it's a quality game, that it executes, that it generates the massive. And again, as we will get into later with the news, we're starting to see signs that they may have a plan in place. And I'm excited for that. Not saying that this one singular thing is the end all be all, but I'm excited for it. So we'll see. Yeah. But I think that we have to be the approach. Game Pass, third party, let's go.
I'm hoping for the new season that maybe Xbox turns the tables, while I think on paper the game offering from PlayStation is a little more tantalizing, that they make some free agent signings, if you will.
We've been waiting, right? Like This is another thing. You've talked about this, not to cut you, but we've been waiting. Like the whole rumor last year was massive acquisitions. Yeah. And we only see one franchise. It was like the Mets and the Yankees. Remember back in the day, like we just see the Yankees just doing all the signing. And we're like, when is the Mets doing anything? Like the Mets were talking that they had all this money to spend, and we just see. You remember them days, the Wilpon days versus the Steinbrenner days, and it was one team shopping at Macy's, the other team was shopping at Walmart, and that's how it was for us. So it was funny that PlayStation was perceived to be the lower income and not going to be doing all these signings. And what was it? Fire Sprite and Liz and Blue Point and then Housemark and
they went off.
Yeah,
Nix's as well. Like that was another signing. Yeah, they got a lot of people. So I'm hoping Xbox does a little free agent signing this year. I feel like it's funny because we all expected it last year, and I guess technically we got it because the Bethesda deal was finalized, but now with that 2021 being completely done, I wonder, is this the year we see more studios, or is Xbox now with Bethesda felt like it's time to settle down, we're good, and we're going to nurture these relationships? That's probably seemingly the route they're taking, and
it better not be.
It
better not be done.
TT Games, man, I'm saying.
You heard what Walter said. He only paid for $1, then he out. After he did his thing. You got to keep that guy in there. Yeah. This is the guy.
You got to fight for Walter.
You got to excite Walker. You got to get him pumped up about what's next month and because that's the type of service you're promoting. You need to keep people in there. It's like Netflix. Okay, now it's Witcher season this. Now it's this. Oh, now you got Squid Games. Okay, cool. I'm in. I'm staying. Every month you got to have a reason. And you need software, you need content. I know the studios sound a lot, but games take time to develop and there's going to be gaps. You got to feed this beast that is Game Pass. So let's see.
Let's talk with your boy, Nicky V. Hey, Cog and Le Grand Goblet d'Tits. Why do reviews from major gaming outlets tend to be so homogenous? Case in point would be The Last of Us Part 2, which launched to near perfect scores across the board, yet was extremely polarizing among fans and also independent critics such as Angry Joe and ACG. Some other examples are Skyward Sword, GTA 4, Fallout 4, MGS 5, and Deathloop, all of which are considered disappointments compared to their predecessors, yet consistently scored 9s and 10s. Any ideas why this is? Do they just buy into the hype? Are they scared they might be an anomaly on Metacritic? Cheers, lads.
I'm going to let you set this off. I got things to say.
Okay, so first things first, as someone who reviews games, I acknowledge there definitely, at least in my book, was a fear of being the anomaly. It never skewed my score It was more so you're rendering the video, you're thinking about your verdict that you gave out, and you're like, what happens if I'm the only one who recommends this or does not recommend this or is in the middle on this? Because you saw what happened with Cyberpunk, where GameSpot's review gave it a 7 and people tore them apart. And then all of a sudden, it's the worst game of the generation. It's like, was she right then? Did she make any sense? There's a lot of that sort of knee-jerk response from the audience that can be intimidating, to say the least. It doesn't feel good to be the anomaly. My Deathloop review speaking for itself. It's not that great. And especially when you get isolated, like I think what happened with GameSpot, where like Carrick and I were tit for tat on the same page with Deathloop, but people came for me. And not that I want them, this was before my rant, by the way. Yeah. Not that I want them to go for Carrick, but it's just like, there is an intimidation. You're like, who's going to isolate me? Who's going to do the ISO strat on me here at the point? So, why do they end up this way? I do think there's a degree of, as I've spoken about with reviews, a type of game works very well for some of these critics. And so I don't know if it's buying into hype. I do think in the case of like Deathloop, there is smoke and mirrors. I think in the case of Last of Us Part 2, again, I think it really accommodates the taste of a lot of critics. For me, it doesn't matter how flashy and cinematic you are and how realistic you are, because like Ellie's holding her gut because she got shot. It's about the story, the character development, the gameplay, the tension, that type of stuff, which I think in some respects, The Last of Us 2 did very well and not so well. Actually, that was one game I did chicken out on reviewing. I had a review planned, recorded, and I was like, fuck this. Like, I just saw the discourse. It's just not worth it. But as for other examples, I feel like they're less extreme now. Just because while a lot of the internet struggles to accept opinions, I think we've reached a certain point now where people can kind of just go, okay, that's your opinion. And that's it. Because I know for me especially, I'm not stupid. I know I'm loud and proud with my opinions on my channel. Like I just say what I'm feeling. That's all there is to it. And that's not me being like, wash my hands of your thoughts. Like, I don't give a shit. I don't care if I hurt you. There's a way to do it respectfully. But like, I know I don't hold constant popular opinions. And for a lot of people, it's what they like. But I also know, because I don't, that there is just building up over time a general respect for people having their own thoughts. So I think some of those extremes examples are less extreme and more extreme. But that's my whole ramble on it. Cog, let's pass it to you, man. How do you feel about the status of major outlet game reviews?
Yeah, this is interesting because, obviously I'm ahead of an outlet myself, right? So, Lords of Gaming. And this is how I look at it. We have to be honest here in the sense that the relationship with a lot of journalism, and whether it be print media or online sites or what have you, it's very close to these companies, right? And then it comes down to the access, and it comes down to, wanting to preserve relationships and access. And some people fall into that trap. And you have to have that. To me, the hardest thing is having that moral compass to just be honest about what's going on. And regardless of who you upset, or, if I say such about this game now, we may not get the review code and, all this other stuff. And that's the unfortunate politics of the industry, and also with the whole Metacritic thing. At the end, I always struggle, with the review bombing thing. I always struggle with devs, and we've heard stories of their salaries or bonuses tied to Metacritic. We've heard these type of examples, and it's an industry where there's that gray area where you have to have, it's a personal decision on your outlet, how you're going to run it and how you choose to rate these games. And one thing I pride myself, look, we don't get it right all the time, but I do feel I pride our outlet is that, look, there's going to be times let me give you a quick example.
Sure.
I'm not going to name the game, but there was a developer, small indie, that made a game that got access that I thought had tremendous potential. I brought it to the team. I said, hey guys, when we get the code, I would just like them to get a spotlight as far as getting a review, so to speak, right? Now I am the guy of the site, right? I am CEO. I'm not reviewing, but I am the guy. So it's coming down from COG, right? Yeah. So kudos to my writers, right? Gave them the review code when it was time, when it was getting close. They ramped up, got the review code. They hit me back and was like, COG, I'm just gonna let you right know, I'm gonna give this game a 4. I And I'm like, damn, it's like that. And they're like, look, in good conscience, and I feel bad. I apologize. Like, I was like, no, bro. Don't apologize to me. This is what you feel. He said, because they felt bad because I had the relationship. I made it happen. I did this. Doesn't matter. This is what we're putting out. And we rolled with it. And these are the moments I'm proud of. And the last point I'll say is that I think I've told you offline, I've been approached by the Microsofts and some Sonys and some people like, yo, how do you feel we're doing? I'm like, yo, you sure you want to hear that? You know what I'm saying? Because my motto, it's not what you want to hear, what you need to hear. And I'm going to tell you if this, and that's the thing. So again, does that style benefit as far as clicks and all? Sometimes it doesn't, but it's how you choose to run your outlet is where it's going to be. And I think that's how come sometimes to the question, we get into that homogenous, samey, all the reviews kind of the thing. I'm not saying everybody's paid off. I'm not doing that. But I'm just saying, like, sometimes relationships can affect that, and reaction to what you may want to say could affect that as well. Yeah.
I do think our industry has a degree of trying to fulfill expectations. This has to be good, therefore it is good. I do see that a lot before the true, if you will, I put in quotes, reviews come out. And in a way, it's like, I guess you have to just say that's their opinion, because I've definitely submitted multiple reviews that I would put out and go, oh, this is certainly, I can't imagine anyone else coming to a different conclusion than this. And man, do you wake up to a surprise, especially when people are outraged. So it's just one of those things where a lot of the review system is unpredictable. And if you're experienced in it, which I've been doing this since I was 18, 17-ish. So I have become used to just like, it is what it is. And some haven't. And you can tell, at least in my shoes, I can tell when someone's new to reviewing, but the way they speak about a game and they're kind of just preemptive hype about reviewing it in general, and the flavor words, you can feel that new reviewer blood in some stuff. And it definitely does, to me at least, gauge how seriously I take it. Because I'm like, I remember when I got Saints Row 4, it was like that shit was getting a pass no matter, a buy no matter what, because I was so excited to be reviewing it. And I did genuinely like it, but like I probably was somewhat unfair. So like that's the other thing to be on the lookout for, is just like the excitement of the review process. I've got the thing you don't. And I think that does bump scores too. And since they're so many big outlets, which especially in a year like 2022, keep an eye out, because there's so many big games that these reviews are going to be passed off to different people within the outlet so that they can cover them all.
Absolutely.
Number 5, and then we'll get into the news. Jason McGarver writes, "Hey Dukes, I'm noticing a troubling trend with our boy Matty. He's a prude. From his distaste to swimsuit DLC to saying grow up when speaking on game romance. You're not an old man, bro. This is especially surprising for someone who loves BioWare and JRPGs like Persona. Let's get Cog's input on the sexiness in game and why it's okay to be a little lewd sometime. Jokes aside, you guys do great work. Looking forward to year 2, Jace." Thank you, Jace. Cog, have I gone the wrong path here?
It's just funny how this perception of you with the write-ins is hilarious. Like, my boy, it's cool. Like, it's just so fun. Like, he's like,
I'm the misinterpreted one.
Yeah, like you compare. Like, I'm the prude. Like, I'm more of the prude than you are. It's kind of funny, like the way things get twisted here sometimes. But I think Jason's playing around. He's having good fun with it. Mm-hmm. Look, I like an edginess to some of my stuff too. Like, I mean, that's why the BioWare games always, going to hold a special place for me. I love the freedom of choice. I love being able to do stuff. And I think when things are too vanilla, it gets boring, right? Mm-hmm. It's just, so yeah, you got to have some fun and mix it up. And I'm all, remember, my motto. It's always let the developer do what he do. It's up to us to say, hey, I ain't with that. I'm not buying that. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. So I'm always on the, hey, if you're going to get a little edgy, go for it, but understand what you're doing and the reaction you may get if you go for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think BioWare is one of the few that can have some fun with video game romance. I think of like Iron Bowls and Dragon Age Inquisition.
Oh, hilarious.
Yeah, there's some good ones. But like for me, like I just say it outright. Like when Cyberpunk's like, you can see your dick in Cyberpunk and these fully animated sex scenes and Bioorgans. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like I just don't need to see it. It's awkwardly animated. It's like their faces are gonna rub up against each other. Like it's bad. That's the thing. It's like I don't mind if it's there. It's just it's bad. It's not good. So
the funniest one I remember was like Conan X. I was like, we've got real scrotum physics. And I was like, all right, do you, bro? Like, I'm not
it's
mad.
A free
like,
headline.
This is a selling point. Yeah. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I guess it's a selling point. I don't know. A different type of point, but I digress. Let's get into the news now. We've dilly-dallied enough.
Let's do it.
So, Rainbow Six Extraction is coming to Game Pass and PC Game Pass day one. Also, Ubisoft Plus is coming to Xbox, not Game Pass. We're going to read a little blurb here from Ubisoft's news outlet, and then we'll talk. Ubisoft announced that its Ubisoft Plus subscription service will be coming to Xbox in the future. Originally launched on PC, the service allows for more than 100 Ubisoft titles at a single monthly cost of $15, by the way, with games and DLC available on launch day and monthly rewards including cosmetics, boosters, in-game items, and more. But that's not all. Ubisoft also announced that Rainbow Six Extraction will be a day one addition for Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass members, allowing them to play on Xbox consoles and PC right from the game's launch on January 20th. Rainbow Six Siege, already available as part of Xbox Game Pass, will be available to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass members the same day, giving PC players the chance to squad up for even more Rainbow Six action. Rainbow Six Extraction is a cooperative PvE experience that places players in the shoes of well-known Rainbow Six Siege operators with up to 3 friends facing off against a mysterious alien menace that threatens life on Earth. With 18 operators to choose from and a variety of unique gadgets and weapons at their disposal, players will need to communicate and think tactically to take on their otherworldly adversaries and safely extract their captured teammates. By making Rainbow Six Extraction available to Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass members on the day and date of its launch via Xbox Game Pass, we're demonstrating that we believe in the value and choice that the subscription offers to players, said Chris Early, Ubisoft's Senior Vice President of Strategic Partnerships and Business Development. Rainbow Six Extraction for Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass members is just the beginning. Ultimately, we will offer Ubisoft Plus subscription service to Xbox owners so that they can enjoy the full extent of our Ubisoft Plus game library, including new releases on their consoles. And then Sarah Bond says, with Rainbow Six Extraction, Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass members are getting another blockbuster added to their library on the same day the title launches. And because Rainbow Six Siege will be on both Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass as well, the Rainbow Six community and fans of tactical shooters will have plenty to look forward to playing together no matter where they play. For those who don't know, Rainbow Six Extraction again launches on January 20th for $40 across all systems, minus Switch. All right, Cog. So this is the start of the new year. This is our first big day one Game Pass game, coming 3 years earlier than last year's, with Outriders being the one that kicked things off. Gut check. How are we feeling about this? Is Rainbow Six Extraction enough to start off the new year? Are you excited about this one?
You know damn well you ain't that excited about Rainbow Six Extraction the way you framed that. But look, let me set this off. Let me set it. Here's the thing. Now, I'm probably in the minority in the sense that I actually didn't mind Rainbow Six Extractions, the trailers, the gameplay. I like the cooperative, biohazard kind of deal. Gets me in that, Resident Evil kind of mode, but cooperatively. I actually was looking forward to it, right? Is it, oh my God, this is the greatest thing? No, but I was looking forward to it. And I'm happy that I won't have to go out there and spend the bread. To me, this is the bigger play, though. The bigger play is what we were waiting for last year. The rumors were last year, Ubisoft Plus getting it, Ubisoft making some similar type of move with Game Pass. And that's where I was at. That to me is the big play, because at this point, let's be honest, it's beneficial for both of them, right? Ubisoft, damn well it's beneficial for you with everything going on in your house. With PR and practices and so on and so forth. And let's be honest, like, I'm not going to say they've lost their luster. I haven't seen. I don't recall what the Assassin's Creed numbers really did, but I know Division's kind of on the downturn. Siege is doing well. I know Siege is doing well, but it's not the dominant Ubisoft. There's been a decline a little bit, I feel, especially with how you feel about Far Cry, which I did not pick up. I wasn't interested in, right? But here's the thing. To me, this makes so much sense for them to get in there. Like, EA, get in Game Pass. Get in there. Do what you got to do because your games fit that model. Then the Assassin's Creed games hopefully coming, day and date. Division, all these things will get a shot in the arm. And then for Xbox, damn well you need as much games as possible to make it seem like it's exclusive to your platform. I think this was a marriage that should have happened last year. I don't know what the logistics were. We all thought it was last year. So I'm excited. This adds tremendous value for Game Pass. Tremendous. Now you have EA, you have Ubisoft games. That's a big deal. That's enticing to a lot of people. So I think it makes sense. I mean, is it like, okay, they did this, Megaton Brock, it's over, it's not that, but it's a good relationship. And now the question I have is, we know Extraction technically is a day and date kind of a situation, right?
Yep.
What happens with the other Ubisoft releases, right? How does that work? So what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think the bigger deal is getting Ubisoft Plus in some way, shape, or form. You got to get that into Game Pass. I think that's the next logical step. You already have EA Play in there. We've seen the benefits of that. We'll have a game that we both like very much that got in there thanks to the relationship through EA Play. I think Ubisoft, it's a little surprising it took them this long to embrace it. When I look at every new generation, Zombie U, Rayman, like they were there all over the Wii U, they were there all over the Vita, the Switch. Like, I just feel like Ubisoft can't resist being in on the new thing because they see so much opportunity. So to me, it comes as a big surprise that it took them this long to get in on Game Pass in a significant manner. But now they're doing it with a game that to me screams experiment, Rainbow Six Experiment, not Extraction, right? Because this is a game that's $40. It's a repackaging of a lot of assets you've already seen in Siege. It's a safe bet. You've got a multiplayer horde game that you get your friends in on, get some of that Game Pass player base. I'm sure, as everyone may remember, in one of our previous Defining Duke episodes, one of my Game Pass picks of the week was Aliens Fireteam Elite. Like, these horde games are fun on Game Pass. It's an easy way to gather the boys and girls together and play something fun with some multiplayer. So great pick, I think, to put this into the service, to try things out. I'm just surprised how long it took. But overall, when it comes to Rainbow Six Extraction, I'll try it. That's kind of where I'm at. And that was one of my points, is they're getting a lot of I'll try it games. They're not getting and I don't want to reiterate what I said earlier, but they got to get to me right now, like the big one. They can get the surprising one. I think Outriders is still like number one on the surprise. Like, oh, this is really fun. I really like that, even with its issues. And now with it all patched, it's like, please play that game. It's really good. But Ubisoft Plus, I think, is the key to upgrading that service. And with that, we got to talk about, does the price go up if you get Ubisoft Plus in there? Because now we're talking, the Plus offering is $15 a month, the same price as Game Pass Ultimate. But inside Ubisoft Plus, you're getting day one Ubisoft games across the board.
Correct.
So is this Xbox's key to getting a lot of day one games on Game Pass without acquiring someone? It's a really hard line to walk, because I think it comes with the reality that they will price bump. And you have to make sure that while you're marketing this to so many people and trying to get it as accessible as possible, which we know they're doing, like if you look at the side of like Trolley, Bright Worm packages, they got Halo Infinite on there. You get a Game Pass effectively for $2 a month with that stuff. They've got $1 for 3 months of Game Pass if you've never signed up before. You got people like Walter signing up for $1 and canceling. Their goal is to keep people in, but also to continue to allure them, like, check it out, see what it's all about. They're still in that marketing phase where honestly, it looks like Ubisoft's wording it like we're not doing that yet. But I think almost Xbox is like, we're not doing it yet, because I don't think they're ready to bump that price yet. And the question on the other end of the scale is like, well, maybe if they do bump it and add this insane value, does that push Game Pass over the edge to a more, I'd say, casual consumer? Because Ubisoft games, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, do grab those types of consumers. And when they're going up a more platform focus with Assassin's Creed and Far Cry, is this a big play in the future for Xbox? It's hard to tell, but what were you about to say?
Yeah, this is. I always look at the Twitter accounts.
Yeah.
And the Twitter accounts were very interesting. They were doing their flirting thing. They were doing their, and then we may have more to talk later. And that. Okay. Here's the thing. One of my theories as to why it may have taken longer is what you're alluding to, which is the fact that their service currently right now is about $15 a month, but you get in the day and date, right? Microsoft may not be inclined to raise their price for that. So again, there's no inside baseball. I'm just speculating right now.
Yeah, same.
What if the upfront money needed to be more for Ubisoft so that they could stay at, so that Microsoft could stay at that price? Because I can't see Microsoft this early in the game saying, just because we got you, we're going to bump our price up. So I think it's a negotiation thing, potentially, possibly, that of what's going on and maybe why the business didn't work. And then let's be real, Ubisoft, one thing about Microsoft, I always give them credit. They like to swoop in when you're not at your lowest, but you're starting to do this. Microsoft loves to swoop in. Oh, you're not doing that. We'll help you get across the finish line. We'll help you. Don't worry. We got you. Yeah. And let's be real. Between you and many people's critique of Far Cry, the consensus right now from a lot of hardcore gamers is that Ubisoft is on the decline, that a lot of their UIs are copy and paste. They're going too hard for the monetization bag, the live service bag. They're doing that. We just got into a big argument about how long it took for Splinter Cell, and remember, like it was a big thing. Not me and you got in a big argument. There was the talk, right? Like, I don't know if I even want it because Ubisoft's going to do this to it. They, public relations wise, is not doing well. I'm not going to say that reflects on their sales. I don't know how that are doing, but we get the sense that it's not prime Ubisoft how it was, where they could come into the room and throw weight around. So that's what I think is happening here. The question's going to be, when this inevitable Ubisoft Plus happens or not, will the price of Game Pass change? Also, will these games be day and date? Because if they're day and date, that's still a big deal. You talk about the Splinter Cell thing now coming day and date. You're talking about whatever new game, Watch Dogs, whatever new game, that's a big deal. Because people still, as much as we complain, Far Cry, I'm assuming still, did it do well?
Far Cry did well. I imagine it did decently, at least. Decently.
So that's a big boon to Microsoft to have that on your platform day and date. That's still a big boon. We'll see what happens. I'm curious, once this thing moves forward and we get closer to that negotiation and they make the official announcement, what are the details of this deal? Who's getting what?
Because to me, this is not something that has to happen right now. Because again, we've talked so much about acquisitions, and when you acquire these studios, like, their whole library is coming your way, and that adds stuff to Game Pass, and of course that sets up the future, where I feel like once you get all those ducks in a row and then you get Ubisoft Plus, like, that's kind of the capper to me, right? Like the icing on top, right? That's right how I look at it. Or cherry on top, not icing. So yeah, way to mix that one up.
You good, bro. No, you're right. Unless you finish with that, one more other thing too was also, remember, EA Play didn't necessily do day and date. Remember, like, they might just discounts. We're gonna talk about the Game Pass game of the month that didn't come. So that's why I'm curious. Is it going to be a situation where their vaulted stuff comes, right? And then the new stuff Ubisoft still holds on to, gets the upfront money, then 3 months, here you go, here's what, and then see, extract, I'm with you, we gonna call it Rainbow Six Experiment, they not sure about. I like your name, I love your name. Rainbow Six Experiment, you go ahead, no, we get that one to you, man. You know what I'm saying? But let's see if it's the real prime sellers, the Far Cries, the Assassin's Creed, the Watch Dogs, the Ghost Recons, the Splinter. Are those going to come? Talk to us, Ubisoft. What you doing? That's
good point. And I wonder, they have tiers to their service. I'm like, I wonder if like Uplay comes to Game Pass instead of Uplay Plus or whatever, because it's like, well, you're not going to get the day one games, but you'll get the whole library and whatever's added to the vault. So it's a good point by you. I think that's a possibility. We'll see.
I'm so curious about that boardroom and who negotiated what.
Sarah Bond on the deal again.
Salute to the queen.
Number 2, GoldenEye 007 is frequently celebrated by many as one of the best multiplayer experiences that Microsoft-owned Rare has ever produced. It has long been in demand that this game sees a revival of some kind. There's certainly been attempts. During the heyday of the Xbox Live Summer Arcade in 2008, there was an attempted remaster that was nearing completion, but Microsoft and Nintendo were reportedly never able to come to an agreement. At the start of 2021, that same game leaked onto the internet and is fully playable. There was also GoldenEye Reloaded in 2010, which served as a remake for the beloved FPS game, which had a mixed reception. Now, we have a new leak surrounding another remaster for the Rare classic. Over on True Achievements, a brand new list of 55 achievements totaling out to 1,000 Gamerscore has appeared. The list is different from the one accompanied by the old 2008 remaster that had originally leaked, offering some legitimacy to the new one. Furthermore, there's a plethora of achievement art, a game image thumbnail, and Exophage currently has it listed as an Xbox One title. With this being the year of the 60th anniversary for 007, it wouldn't be a wild thought to expect this remaster, as well as perhaps the reveal of IO Interactive's James Bond game, to make an appearance throughout 2022. Cog, I want to dish it to you because I've actually not played much of GoldenEye 007. I don't have a lot of memories with this game. So I think with you, I remember that tweet you posted of the pause menu music where it's like going just unnecessarily hard. So for you, I feel like this game may speak to you more. What do you think of this news with this remaster possibly?
This is a classic. This is long overdue. This reminds me of when Microsoft acquired Rare. These are the type of things Xbox gamers were like, yo, we thought this is what was these type of things are going to happen. This is what you're getting, right? When you get Rare, this catalog, and then they, quickly were thrown into Connect games. And we're not going to revisit that power on documentary on that. But they lost a lot of the luster for now. Salute to them. Sea of Thieves is out here rocking. They've reinvented themselves since. But this is a good this is a safe bet. To me, this almost feels like, not that they're on the level of as bad as Bioware right now, but this is the safe pick, like with the trilogy of Mass Effect. Like, this is safe. Like, you remaster this, you do nothing but goodwill. And my theory on remasters, which is generate the interest. Like Splinter Cell, generate the show. You need people to see. You need to see the numbers from people that they're still interested, and you need to see that, this is an IP that has value. And then we talked about that rumor. We had Jez on Defining Duke and the IO rumors and a new
reading my mind here.
Bond. And
reading
now
my mind here.
You know what I'm saying? You're cooking with grease now. Generate the energy. So I love this. I thought it was cool that it was found out, and let's go. And because let's be real, the other thing that it needs to happen is, as much as, because I know you don't play it, it's one of those revisionist history games, because you forget, as great as it was for its time, when you go back to it now and it doesn't have the proper FPS control that should be for.
I've heard.
You cannot go back to it with them controls. Like, you need, it's suited for Xbox. Like, they are the FPS. I love the way their analog placement is. It's the FPS box, so to speak. It's gonna fit perfectly there, and I think it's a nice precursor move.
Yes. I think it's a really good point, too, about Rare and kind of the goodwill, because it's not something I'd considered when you look at where Everwild's at, which the report is 2024. No disrespect to Sea of Thieves, it's doing its thing, but I think people are looking for something new on top of that. And so this is a good way to get your foot in the door, remind people of the cool stuff you made while the other things cooking in the oven a little bit longer. And certainly there's many more classics that people have celebrated through Rare Replay, and what could they do with those? As always, I'm a Jet Force Gemini guy, so I just want to shout out that one. It's a great one, a Rare Replay if anyone hasn't played it. But yeah, this is exciting, because I think of the multiplayer potential. Anytime I hear about this game, and I have played it, but like, again, for me, my couch gathering of friends game when I was growing up was TMNT Turtles in Time. Like, that was the game with the junk food, the soda. Like, every day after school, get together, play the game over and over. That's kind of what when I hear what people talk about with GoldenEye 007, I think of those days for me.
Oh yeah.
So to me, if I were to get my TMNT Turtles in Time back, I would want that couch co-op experience online. I'd want to be able to invite my friends. What I'm hoping with 007 here is that they bring the multiplayer back. I think that's got to be a thing that happens.
It's got to be. Slam dunk. Easy money. Yeah. Put that online. You still keep the co-op script screen, the local for local co-op, but you do. This is a slam dunk with modern controls, remastered graphics. Again, the greatest pause music in the history of gaming.
Yeah, for real.
You know what I'm saying? Bro, like this is one, and it's James Bond. Like I remember this is probably one of the only times like I wasn't a hardcore 64 guy, but that game got so much burn. You know, it's so much. So yeah, like it's what you said. It's the junk food with the homies. For hours. Now you add some little flair to it. This is gonna pop off. Yeah. Easy slam dunk.
I agree. See, for me, it's funny because my introduction to 007 games was like Nightfire, Agent Under Fire, Everything or Nothing on the PS2, the original Xbox. Have you ever played those games? Huh?
I played one of them.
Which one did you play?
It was an Agent of Fire one?
Agent Under Fire?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one wasn't that. Yeah. But Nightfire, that one, that one, piece de resistance. Very good. Right. Very good. So definitely check that out if anyone is interested. Shout out 007 though. And honestly, we got to talk as well before we move on real quick.
Let's go.
You brought up IO Interactive, Cog, and the rumor is Project Dragon coming from them. It's going to be an Xbox exclusive. We know Xbox we've heard the rumblings. They're in the nurturing phase, cozying up with these companies, bringing them in. Look what you can do with us. Do we see a swing here with the GoldenEye being seemingly Xbox exclusive based off the reports and leaks? Do we see a move here for this new James Bond game to also be on Xbox? Because we've seen PlayStation move to more of that Marvel side of things. And I remember back when the show started, I talked about how the reports were like Lucasfilm, which I had heard through, that was with, I think, Indiana Jones and something else that was canceled, apparently, is what I've been told. And so I'm wondering if their pivoting is going to be these movie style games, right? Like, we're not going to get you the Marvel exclusives, but we're going to get you like other cool figures in entertainment. Do you think this is a possibility for them?
I think you're onto something. I didn't even think about this, but I do think you're onto something. I think they could be positioning themselves because there's enough tea leaves to start making these kind of suggestions and these predictions, and I think so because let's be honest, we were all surprised. Like, I mean, look, Todd Howard comes out and says Machine Games, Indiana Jones, and we're like, okay, right? And obviously that was done outside of Microsoft, and then they got acquired, and then we figured out. But I do think that Microsoft is positioning themselves with certain deals and certain, whether it be movies and other things, to try to get this, the exclusives. And the 007, this thing makes sense. This makes sense on a lot of levels. The Rare relationship, number one. The fact that the rumor was discovered on True Achievements for an Xbox site, not saying that it precludes that it cannot happen on PlayStation, but the Xbox One was the one that was found, right? So you got that. And then we've all known about that Project Dragon. We all know IO's history. We rant and rave about Hitman 3. We call it the greatest stealth game. Arguably should have been Game of the Year, at minimum nominated, right? At minimum, right? So we know it. You know it. The thing now comes down to they're the perfect candidate, let's be honest, for a James Bond game.
Oh, yeah.
They're the perfect. I mean, your man, what's my man? Why am I forgetting the protagonist for Hitman right now? Agent
47.
47. Like, he's quintessential that. So it's like, this makes so much sense. And to have their own, and I think Microsoft's strategy with studios is to kind of, same with Crystal Dynamics, nurture in a sense, let them go make it. Let's see. You do well? All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the vibe right now. And I can see, I think you're onto something with that. I think that this could be
a play. Be something in the idea factory for them. I'd be shocked if it weren't, because it's just such an obvious connection there. And again, People say they don't, but I mean, you gotta get in that pop culture. And like James Bond, at least when I was growing up, like James Bond was the thing, man. Not that he's not anymore with Daniel Craig and everything, but like, I feel like it's James Bond. It's like, coming back with a storm now. Like, get in on that new game, man.
Right, absolutely. My only nitpick is, see, I'm an older gent. So for me, all this resonates. I know for you still resonates with some, but I need them to get more of the Matty generation pop culture, right? I need them to get what these kids are doing. Whether it be, I know Mandalorian is a little Star Wars, but whatever's like Spider-Man, we know they can't get that.
They got to get on Star Wars, in my thought. Like,
right. Yeah. You know who else? Star Wars. You know who else they need to call up?
DC.
He was on Game Awards. The movie's phenomenal. I don't know if you saw Shang-Chi 10 Rings.
No, I haven't. I heard it was really good.
It's amazing. It's really, really good.
I gotta check it out.
Your boy presented on Game Awards. I forgot the actor.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I know people didn't like his little thing.
Simu Liu, I think.
Simu Liu, right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's his name. Yeah. And he is like a hardcore Xbox fan. I didn't even know this. Like, he was this hardcore. Get on that. Yeah. Get on. I think he was in like an Xbox ad at one time. But make the call. Marvel, your man's interested. Where's the Shang-Chi? You got to get on the pop culture stuff. Whatever's cracking for the younger generation. Sometimes I feel Xbox, there's a perception of they're the old man gamer guys.
Part of me likes that, right? I like the new creative stuff, but we can't deny that they got to get on the current stuff. And I'm not talking battle royale, like you said. The current pop culture trends, stuff that's sustainable, like a Mandalorian game exclusive to Xbox would fucking kill. So
yes, you got to do it. That's all I'm saying. Just keep the balance. They're doing good things, but also think about that young generation as well.
Absolutely. Let's move on to number 3. This is a bit of a long read, so apologies in advance. The latest from Jason Schreier is an article that paints a target on the mind behind the beloved BioShock, Ken Levine. The piece defines him as an auteur with a single brilliance, stubborn perfectionism, and delicate ego. His current project, which began in 2014 after the closure of Irrational Games and opening of Ghost Story Games, does not have a title or a planned release date. The game in development with his current team has faced numerous reboots and changes in directions, according to 15 current and former employees. Also, according to these current and former employees, Ken Levine is a, quote, flawed manager who often struggles to communicate his vision and alienates or browbeats subordinates who challenge him or fail to meet his expectations, end quote. Hilariously, the article also points out that the former employees said, quote, persuading Ken was so difficult that former employees joked about engaging in Kenception, a reference to the film by Christopher Nolan, in which Leonardo DiCaprio infiltrates a person's dreams and plants an idea so that the target thinks he came up with it himself, end quote. Currently, Take-Two owns Ghost Story Games, where he is given a level of control over his product that not many creatives are afforded. Some former employees of Ghost Story Games call this idyllic at first, but then, quote, became detrimental to their work and mental well-being, end quote. One former employee did allow his name to be used in the piece, Mike Snight, and he was handpicked by Levine to start the team of Ghost Story Games in 2014. He said, quote, Ken is a very hard person to work for. I think he tried a lot to change, and he really excels better at this company than Irrational because it's a smaller group of people. When it continuously goes in cycles and you don't align anymore, you get kind of tired of being a part of that. I wasn't really happy anymore, end quote. The story also provides a slightly new angle to the reiterated story of Irrational Games closure, in which Ken Levine delivered the news in the kitchen of the former studio. He said to his team that things had grown too large and that he wanted to explore new ideas with a smaller team, something that Ken has also said publicly in an announcement to fans on Irrational's very own website. Ken Levine has also been open about his style of creation dating back to 2013, where he said in an interview, quote, if it's not right, it goes. It's not without cost, but I find that people who are most experienced at Irrational tend to be the most comfortable with throwing stuff away, end quote. He also said in 2012 that he had cut 2 games worth of stuff, which can be seen based off the first gameplay demo shown for BioShock Infinite. Despite that, there was a bit of survival's guilt for the remaining 11 employees who would transfer from Irrational to Ghost Story Games, said Mike Snipe. They moved to a new studio, hired some new employees, and began working on a prototype in earnest that is described as a, quote, sci-fi shooter like BioShock set on a mysterious space station inhabited by 3 factions where each could act as an ally, enemy, or something in between, depending on what the player did, end quote. A constant throughout the article is Levine's desire to make something as big as BioShock with a team the fraction of the size. However, the article does not mention that lax deadlines meant less crunch, according to 3 former employees. A lot to be said on this one.
Yeah, this is a lot. This is deep. Yeah, shout out to you for putting me up on this story. I've been kind of surprisingly missed out on this one. Where do we start? All right, so Levine, the legend, right? This is the BioShock. This is the guy, right? So let's be respectful first, as far as what he's done in this industry, and the games he's made are critically acclaimed. I'm never going to take that away from him, right? Now, the way I look at it is like this. Michael Jordan is perceived to be the greatest basketball player, right? In the NBA. He's considered to be the GOAT. Sorry, LeBron fans, but I'm just telling you what the consensus is, right? So what happens is when you hear the accounts of playing with Michael Jordan, right? Difficult to deal with, demanding of perfection, ripping you to your face, kind of thing. Sometimes the greatest players sometimes are not the easiest guys to get along with or to work with. And it takes a different type of personality to do that. I'm not condoning bad behavior. I'm not condoning being disrespectful. I'm just saying some of the best creatives sometimes fall into that, right? So this is what I find interesting in this whole story. I got respect for Jason. You know that. I know a lot of people don't like Jason. I got respect for his reporting. But we have to admit, too, that, sometimes he goes in on people that either he feels strongly about or his sources don't like, right? So we got to be real. There's always going to be bias on some level with any article for the most part. It's very rare everything 100% down the line is going to be called down the line, right? So I'm not saying he's biased. I'm just saying that I know Jason feels strongly on certain subjects. That I know, and protecting game developers are that. So I'm going to respect that aspect, but I'm going to respect the aspect of Kevin in the sense that, hey, Ken, he's a perfectionist, right? He has this vision. And here's the big thing that people I think are missing in it. Take-Two is allowing this. Like, Take-Two is like, yo, I've never seen anything like this, Matty, where it's like, yo, we don't have a release date, so to speak, right? We've got a window. We believe in you so much that whatever the window is, brother, do what you got to do. That is the ultimate job security in this game. I have never seen it. So that means it's like Michael Jordan got the will of the GM that whenever this championship comes, we're cool because we see what you did before, right? Hey, he's in a position now. I empathize with the developers who had their accounts and say, "Yo, fam ain't easy to deal with. He's a problem. I'm out. He threw my work away, or he took credit for the work, or whatever you." Yeah. But upstairs, they don't seem to have a problem.
They care about results. Yeah,
exactly. So that's how I gotta look at this. If you choose to want to be there, great. If not, great, and I understand, but that's really all I can say because I'm not in them rooms. I don't know what's going on. I can just go by the reporting and make my conclusion based on what that. But I am dying to hear what you have to say.
No, you put it perfectly, Cog, wonderfully so, because I thought I was going to be the one who's kind of like when I read this article, something rang different with this compared to his other pieces, and I think it highlights something that I'm going to get into.
Let's get it.
And this is, I'm like you, I've personally butted heads with Jason on a public level, like when I was a teenager, like he would come at me. And so,
I never knew this.
He deleted the tweets. I didn't. But it's one of those things where like, I don't hold anything against him. I've communicated with him. We've worked together on breaking a little bit of a KOTOR scoop. So like he's,
you're not on the infamous blacklist?
No, I'm actually not. I'm not.
Wow.
Surprisingly so. And I think it's because I try to be cordial even when we didn't get along. Not that I was perfect in it. Again, I was like 18, so I was telling him to go fuck himself. But, I digress. While I do have respect for his work, what I'm seeing is, as you put, one type of story with, I think, almost entirely always one angle. It's very often we hear about X amount of current and former employees. And I think we need to start distinguishing how many current, how many people working for him now feel this way, how many people who don't work for him feel this way. Because I feel there are many bosses who employees have left, and if they liked them, they probably would have stayed, right? I think that distinguishment starts to need to be made, not just a collective number, because I think it just says to me more, I've spoken to X amount of people, but it's like, okay, how many people did work there that are saying like Ken's a problem? Because maybe there's been a change internally. We don't know. It has to be identified in the work. Not only that, but when we heard about Ken closing Irrational Games for new ideas and a smaller team, and he's tough to work for, I'm not saying that if there's a confession out there that suddenly it makes it okay, but we knew this, and it's been open knowledge for nearly a decade. Some of the stuff that I sourced in our write-up here for our news, we're talking a 2013 story. I dated a 2012 story here. 10 years ago, Ken was saying this type of stuff and being very open about it in interviews. So what I think this article should have been about is it ethical to create a masterpiece the way that Ken does so, being an author, and not highlighting just Ken, but we have multiple other authors in our industry. It's a Kojima game. It's a Todd Howard game. It's an XYZ game. There are many people who are authors, I feel, where, again, I feel like the point of this article could have been highlighting something more significant, but it went to Ken Levine, who I think at times Jason makes it clear he's got an axe to grind. And to me, it really got put on full display when buried at the end of the article is the mentioning that there hasn't been crunch, something that Jason has been apparently very big on.
Yeah.
Very big on. And when I see that's buried, it's like, okay, Ken's scrapping work. He is a known perfectionist. This is a known thing about him. Not that because it's allowed, it's okay, but none of this is news that we're pretending is news. And what we're seeing here is it's not tightening up deadlines where he's crunching people, working them to death, and then throwing it out. It's a very lax game development environment, which is good. And what I ask in turn is, while Take-Two searches for what I think is their next BioShock, which is why they're letting him take all the time he needs and all the resources he needs, is for Jason, like, where's the piece on, I'd say, like Tencent and other major Chinese investors constructing the freedom of expression? Why are we not bringing attention to SNK and their leadership who violates human rights? I wonder about sometimes a celebratory piece about how does Bethesda retain the employees that they do? People work there for a decade plus. And all I'm seeing again and again, and I got to say it because it's been on my mind since I read it. I'm like, why is it one angle, one story every time? And like you said, I think, we're people, we have our own beliefs, and you're going to see that belief shine in our work.
Right.
But again, I think this was a clear opportunity for a much different story to be told that instead is painting the target on the back of someone. And I'm not saying Ken's perfect. I think it's bad that he's working people to the point where they're like, fuck you, I'm out. I don't think that's a good thing. But I think there was a bigger story to tell on authors in entertainment. And again, I think it should be an open to interpretation piece of authors aren't bad, but rather is that a good thing to have in entertainment? Because it's a filmmaker's term. It came from film.
Right, it is. Yeah.
And it's been brought now into games where it's like, it's a Spielberg film, right? Like that type of authorship, like that's a thing. And now it's being brought into games, and it's like, well, we have many, many more than Ken, and Ken's almost faded out of relevancy because he has taken so long, where it's like, I think there are others we could talk about. Maybe they're treating their team better, but that was sort of what was weighing on me. Of course, I don't want to totally derail us from the conversation about
this is great talk.
where Ken's at with Ghost Story Games and the progress of development. I have some own development experience I can try to shine a small bit of light on. I'm not like I'm acting like I'm some expert, but I do have some hands-on experience on how shit can change pretty quickly and you have to pivot. where like that plan that's there is not always the one that's going to go through. It's not like in other things where you just write it down and like, this is how we're going to do it. And this is how we're going to execute it. Like game development changes, things scale up and down, and things have to be scrapped and things have to be restarted. Like that's how it goes sometimes. And again, I totally know Jason is a knowledgeable guy who probably understands game development better than I with the amount of people he's talked to with hands-on accounts. But from what I've seen here, perfectionism to me isn't a war story that I've seen in these like GDC panels, for example, where I've heard about tumultuous development cycles. And I'm like, working for a perfectionist, I feel like it does demand a type of employee. Does that make it okay? I think the person who is a perfectionist needs to find some wiggle room, needs to be more receptive, needs to find ways to like, if it's not what you want, if the reports are true, like he embarrasses them in front of others. You don't do that.
Right.
You don't do that.
That's the part. And I listen, you're making valid points, right? And in reference to the reporting and Jason, and clearly, I have a little bias myself because I do. Is Jason perfect? Do I agree with everything Jason does? No, but I do like him, and I do like what he represents as far as reporting in the industry on stories that we may not have known the information. Yeah. To your point, though, I will say, and I've said it to him. He's been on ILP a few times, right? Where I know he cares about the unionization, right? He cares about developer treatment, and
which
that
I'm
is
not
something
against, by the way, just to make
which no one, exactly,
sorry,
which you're not against, right? And but I know no one here at Last Stand Media is against, including Colin, right? So no one wants devs to be treated bad and stuff like that. And we get it, and I just know his stance. And maybe there is a case that it's bleeding into the reporting. And maybe there is a case that, maybe there should be more balance on other stories and so on and so forth. But that is his fight. That is his drive. I do agree with the fact that, these stories need to come to light sometimes and find out what's going on. Now, to the overall point, right? This is what I think in this situation. This is what I'm going to speculate because I'm not in the room. I don't know.
Sure.
What I'm going to speculate is that Cliff Bleszinski makes some from the original Gears creator.
Yeah.
He actually had a tweet in response to the Jeff thing, and the Jason thing, and he just said in reference to Ken Levine, he said, "Look, I love Ken, but his style isn't news. He's always been like this. That's why he needed Rod Ferguson to ship Infinite. Creatives need to be Rod. That's what I'm getting to. Creatives need to be managed by sound-minded people like that, as Rod managed me, and that to me is another thing, right? Because it's like you've got the creative, right? But people don't really understand. Rod Ferguson, the nickname internally is like the finisher. He helps you get the game out across the thing. And maybe that's what the issue. Maybe there is no Ferguson equivalent, right? Because you got this great creative who has these amazing ideas and whatever. And maybe that's what it is. But to your point, right? No one's crunching. Yeah. To your point, for what we hear, right? No, we don't hear any reports of people crunching. We hear frustration that, hey, my ideas didn't use, or dude took credit, or whatever. Yeah. But the thing that I find interesting is the fact that you don't hear the crunching thing, and you don't, the studio is, the publisher, that to me is mind blowing, because that to me shows a level of faith in what Ken is doing. That is, I have not seen that. Yeah. That speaks to his greatness. So maybe that's just what needs to change, and maybe someone needs to help out there. But again, I'm guessing. I don't know what's going on in these rooms, but it is an interesting story. It is very interesting. I agree with what you're saying. I definitely hear what you're coming with, and I can understand both sides of this. I really do. I don't even think there's a wrong answer. I just think that I can understand balance on reporting, which is what you're saying. Valid.
Not that he has to, just to make it clear, like, I'm not saying do a happy piece, do a set, just so people know it's not like what I'm asking him for. Yeah. Just, I think it's becoming really apparent. And
right. And then, but I in his defense, because I gotta play devil's advocate a little bit.
It's okay, please.
It says that I am very passionate also about getting devs. I think they're superheroes, man. I really do. I really think that they need these people sacrifice their lives, move all over the world. There's not a lot of places to go, and if unionization is it, great, and them getting higher pay. I'm always about the dev getting the respect and the bag. You know, that's just where I'm at with it. So if it helps in that direction, great. But there has to be balance. Yes, there has to be balance. There has to be. We have to tell multiple stories, and maybe we just need more Jasons. You know what I'm saying?
That's
what
I was getting at.
Yeah, it's not just all, because it feels like he is the de facto guy,
he is,
right?
Yeah.
And why isn't there more? That's the question, right? Why aren't we getting other stories and stuff like that? It's all good discussion, man. This is all healthy debate.
I felt it was a good time to talk about it because, like, I remember when I brought it up, it was around the time that what happened with my KOTOR leaks where they kind of got ripped out from under me. I talked a little bit about like the few pipelines we had. Like I mentioned, I was like Schreier, Jeff Grubb, Jeff, friend of the show, so no disrespect to him, but like, it was like very few pipelines. And I'm like, I want more voices. I want more significant voices unearthing stories about these companies and what's going on within them, whether it be the next game or something like what Jason's reporting on. And I think this again is why, like, Jason can do his work like this, but there needs to be something to counteract that. That's also highlighting, I think, arguably more significant problems that are really, truly hurting gaming. Like, this is a studio issue that I think needs to be resolved if it's as bad as it is. But I think what Cliff said is very true, that creatives do need to have someone around them out. For me, in my case, like, I do have that. My art director is absolutely the guy who rounds out my ideas when I bring them to him. I don't want to get into the ins and outs of my game, but just like there was some stuff I had to shave down significantly, because you come in as creative director, pie in the sky. Here's these ideas. Here's how they work together. Here's the hierarchy. And you have someone who goes like, okay, great. Now let's make this more realistic. And then when you communicate that vision, you have to communicate on a level where a programmer reads it and understands it. You have to communicate on a level where an artist can see it and understand what they're making. You have to communicate on a level of creating. Rather, to communicate, you have to have the vision in place to use your own terminology to then describe the things in the game you're talking about. It's tough. And I can see why the frustration built up, because we've been fortunate in our game where we're not going to restart. We haven't felt the need to restart. There's no real true reason to. But I could see how, with that process that I've gone through, resetting once, twice, 3 times, there would be internal frustration. People would say like, all right, this ain't for me. I got to go through that again. I got to relearn this. I got to remake that. Like, we did have this. It can boil over. That does make sense. Yeah,
it's a legit thing. I can see both sides, because I could see the frustration. And you had all these ideas, these levels, and dude come in there and scrap and be like, yo, that's not it. We getting rid of that. And that's 3 or 4 years of your work or whatever. I could understand that. And then I could understand the creative, like, bro, from what the report said, he looks at trends and what's going on in the industry and stuff like that. And then he's like, all right, you know what? That ain't it. So I get it. Like, that's part of the process too, right? Who's really right or wrong? It's what you're willing to deal with, right? It's really what you. The only thing I say, right, is that in game dev, it's tough. There's not a lot of places to go. That's the only thing I struggle with, which is like, yo, if it don't work out and you don't like him, where are you going? And you may have to move your family, and then for another project that may not be sustainable. There's so much volatility. That's why, to be honest, I never envisioned myself in it, right? Because I was just like, yo, I'm staying in IT where it's safe. Like, this volatility in this industry, it's real, man. So this is great, healthy discussion, man. I love stuff like this. I want to know more. I want to get other sides. I want to get other employees that are still there, right? That are like, yo,
yeah, because some are current, some are former. It's just like a matter of how many. Like, if a lot of these were former, I do wonder, I got to be honest, I do wonder how seriously people would take it if, like, the current employees aren't saying it. Are they okay with it? It's just, again, I know it sounds shitty to say. I know all I've said, does sound bad, because it's like very wrong to like go against developers who are struggling. And I'm not going against them, but we have to really take a realistic look at the reporting here, I feel. And so not to justify it, just I do have questions. Happy to have them answered, but
Yeah.
In the meantime, I definitely want to hear Ken's side of this. I want to hear about his process, whether it be through Colin or,
Bro,
some other way.
Yeah. See, that's why I love Last Stand. Because then Colin has built something here that he's not afraid to get the other side. And to me, that's the balance in the force. Yeah. That's what makes this the whole thing great. We can have reporting and we can have the other side, and then it's up to us. And like Colin even says it himself, he allows you to make the determination based on what he did. I mean, who he's had on in the questions, and if do you feel this is valid, whether it be the Philip Newson, the Vince, Ingenito. Hey, I love to see Ken come on. Let him tell his side. You need balance. We have to be careful of vilifying just because of report as well, right? And let's see it. And that's the beautiful thing. And that's why I'm here, because I love to have those tough discussions, and not everything is black and white. The world is gray sometimes, man. It just is.
Well said. Let's move on to number 4. Forza Horizon 5 was one of, if not the biggest game of 2021. With Playground Games' most tremendous success now in the rearview mirror, it may come as a bit of a surprise to see that their studio head and co-founder Gavin Rayburn is making an exit. Fret not, this is a happy ending. Microsoft's CVP of Forza and Fable, Alan Hartman, shared the following message, quote, "After 12 years working on 5 award-winning Forza Horizon games, Gavin Rayburn is leaving Playground Games as studio director. A founding member of Playground Games, we thank Gav for his leadership and contributions to the Forza franchise and wish him all the best. Co-founder Trevor Williams will transition from general manager to studio head effective immediately as the Playground Games team focuses on updates to Forza Horizon 5 and the development of Fable," end quote. Gavin Rayburn's career dates back all the way to the 80s, and after helping build up one of the strongest studios beneath the Xbox brand, it appears it is time for a well-earned retirement.
Nah, do him in gloom. It's over.
It's over.
No, I'm just joking. I gotta play with it. I gotta do what the fanboys do. Look, man, this is we talked about this industry. We talk about it weekly. It moves, it shakes. There's going to be moving pieces. To me, the key is the exit. What is said on the exit interview? Those are the signs I look at. Yeah. And this seems amicable. The guy is a co-founder. He's been around for years. Playground. Let's be real. They got the bag. They got the bag. So if you've been doing something, for the majority of your career, and created this amazing studio, you've got this world-class franchise, and now big old Microsoft comes, backs the truck up, you're set. It may be harder to come to work every day.
What could I be doing beyond this?
You know what I'm saying? It just might be, everything's paid, you got the bag. You may be like, you know what? I put in my 10, my 12, I can sit on an island somewhere. Yeah. I ain't mad at it, right? So, and even if he say, hey, I'm starting up, blah, blah, blah studio, it's on him. I just think the industry is just, that's where it is. I think the goal for a lot of these studios is if they get acquired, right? That's the dream. And now you have that stability. So I don't think too much into this. I know I seen Twitter sometimes gets a little, what's going on over there? Because I think what it was you had the 343 dev prior to this.
Yeah.
And now this. So I get it, but one thing I learned now that I'm closer involved and we're doing Duke and I'm closer involved, people move around all the time.
Yeah.
The days of, even in IT, where my old profession, which is the days of staying at one job is really rare. It's really rare, bro. People move around all the time. So that's how I look at it. Salute to him. And, he goes off to the sunset. Trevor Williams takes over, and hopefully they just retain the culture that these guys built. That's all you hope for.
Absolutely. I don't really have anything to add to that. It's a good story, arguably a non-story, but one I think was worth sharing. So
absolutely.
Let's move on to number 5. More to say on that one, I think. After announcing Alan Wake 2 at the Game Awards, Remedy has announced a new deal with Tencent for a game that is currently codenamed Vanguard. Remedy states in a press release that Vanguard is a free-to-play cooperative PvE shooter that combines their narrative expertise and action gameplay into a multiplayer experience. The game is developed with the Unreal Engine for PC and console platforms. Remedy will develop and publish the game worldwide, excluding selected Asian markets where Tencent will localize and publish the game. perhaps more gut-wrenching is the existence of a mobile version for this new free-to-play game. Remedy writes, quote, as part of the agreement, Remedy has also licensed Tencent worldwide rights to develop and publish a mobile version of the game. Tencent will cover the costs for developing and publishing the mobile version. The parties have agreed on a separate revenue sharing scheme for the mobile version. This announcement marks Remedy's entrance into games as a service, whose previous work was quite the opposite, with single-player games such as Alan Wake, Control, Quantum Break, and upcoming games like Alan Wake 2, as well as Crossfire X's campaign. Separately, Tencent has recently acquired Back 4 Blood developer Turtle Rock.
It's just, here we go again.
Yeah. They're back.
They're back. Remember what we said? Not every bag is a good bag, but you know, we've had this discussion. We're gonna have more of these discussions. With Tencent. Be mindful. Be mindful of the bag you take. Understand what comes with it. Mm-hmm. Now, with them at Remedy, the thing I think about is their mantra, and I think about them in a Bethesda kind of way prior to Microsoft acquisition. Single player game, narrative. They are the hashtag just one kind of games a lot, you know, of their catalog. Mm-hmm. So now they're dipping into games as a service. You know, now they're dipping into mobile. How are the books? Right? How are the books going? Here come Tencent. I hate to do this to them. The guy with the trench coat, the shades. Yeah. Hey, man. Heard you know, he went that rent pay. No, just joking. It ain't that bad. But you know where I'm going. Like, you have to understand what you're dealing with. Right. And they're going to do their localization version of the game. You know, your content. And then, you know, don't they have stakes? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if they have a stake in them. But, you know, listen, judgment-free zone for me. But just be cognizant.
3.8% stake.
Yeah, I figured. Yep, I figured. And that seems to be the Tencent way, right? Mm-hmm. Which is, I'm going to get on this board as well. Mm-hmm. And when you get on the board, all I care about is your influence and what you're doing for the creatives, right? And Colin and yourself, you know, you talked about it. And I believe Chris Reagan and Dustin, and, you know, we talked about scenes being changed and was it Tiananmen Square, and you know, that's where I go, you know, is it worth it? Is it worth dealing with this entity because of the bag? And for some people, that's a moral decision. And then as a gamer, it's a moral decision also, right? Do you support? Do you not support? I think it's a personal decision, because the way this is going, Tencent, and I know we're going to get into NFTs at one point. Like, the way things are going, this is the spread, and it's getting everywhere. So it's interesting to see every week we got like another story. Not every week, but every month or two we got another story of an acquisition or an involvement. So, what do you think, sir? What do you think?
You know, I worry more so about like the chain reaction as you brought up NFTs, and I just feel like every company feels the need to try games as a service because there's so much undeniable money. And if you get that recurrent revenue stream, what you can do beyond that. So everyone takes a leap of faith, and I see so many more sunk costs than successes, honestly, where it makes sense in the style of Remedy to be doing these types of experiments, right? We've seen them do Quantum Break, which is this third-person shooter with TV shows in it. It's completely out of there, out of left field. And then you got Alan Wake, which is this flashlight survival horror kind of game in a way, and then Control's this really wild third-person shooter. I mean, they do a lot of different things. Crossfire X is a first-person shooter military campaign. Right. Sign up for a lot of different things. So it makes sense that suddenly they'd try multiplayer, I think. But I look at it as like, again, what you said, you got to wonder what the cost is. Not the cost of making a multiplayer game, but the cost of doing it with Tencent, making the mobile version. Because to me, the second I hear mobile version, the reason why I wrote gut-wrenching, to me, it's not because a mobile version exists. There are mobile games that are good, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. But what it says immediately is, I think of like Genshin Impact, where it's like, okay, every update is now going to be based on the most marketable, popular version of the game, which will indefinitely always be the mobile version. And so any growth this game has will not be console-like. It just won't have the console feel. You can feel like, I like Genshin Impact, but you can feel this is like a mobile game, man. Like you can just feel it is at its core expanded upon. And I know they're saying here in the writing that Tencent will develop and publish a mobile version as if it's like separate from the game itself. But this is something that I look at and I go, okay, like this is going to be their game that kind of like when Ubisoft last year announced that Tom Clancy what was it, Deviant or something like that?
Yeah, yep.
That free-to-play shooter where everyone's like, what? No, I'm okay. This has that to me already written all over it. So I look at Remedy and I'm a little surprised by this because I feel like they've always gotten crafted their deals. Like, why are you making this free-to-play cooperative game? I don't know. You had a relationship with Xbox. You seem to have a relationship with PlayStation. There's Game Pass. I feel like there were a lot of alternatives for them with relationships that have not been disintegrated, where they didn't need to go to Tencent and secure that money that I think, as we've seen time in, time out, will constrict creative expression, and certain things will have to be done in a certain way. Just rubs me in the wrong way a little bit. So you wanted to get into, you rubbed your hands when I brought up like Game Pass and stuff. So let's hear.
I mean, I know where you're going, and this is a good. I want to play devil's advocate for fairness.
Okay, please.
And I hear what you're saying, and let's say everything is true, right? Now, but let's say if we are, what's your man name from? What's the studio head? Isn't it
Sam Lake or
Sam Lake? Yeah. Okay, yeah. So let's say Sam. We do know that the relationship with Xbox at one point was good, and then it, I don't want to say soured, but changed after Quantum Break. They didn't revisit it. Then we know they were playing nice with Sony as far as Control and stuff like that. And I don't know how Control did. I don't know how that did.
10 million players, but that was over the course of like sales, Game Pass, next gen upgrade. So we're not sure what the actual sales are. It didn't chart in its launch month. Continue.
Correct. And it's safe to assume the production value and the cost of these games, based on their level, of cinematography, the way they do things, the budget, they seem to be pricey games. So all I'm going to say is this: what if, hypothetically, there was nowhere else to go?
It's possible.
And hypothetically, they got to keep their lights. I guess the question where I'm going with all of this is this: that how would we feel? And I'm not justifying, I'm not Team Tencent, but how would you feel if Remedy had to close down?
Nah, see, I get where you're going with that, but when I saw them team up with Epic for a game, we've seen them team up with Xbox for the campaign for Crossfire X. I'm like, okay, they're doing team ups that are clearly securing them some type of funding to make the things that they want to make. They're like a mercenary in a way. So I'm like, you clearly, I don't know how much, but you're clearly
they take it back. Yeah. They take it back. They had a switch. They took a switch back from having the streamable version on now. I was like, oh wow, you on Switch? Okay. It's just interesting to me because remember Telltale, they were taking a whole bunch of bags before they went down.
Yeah, they're the standing example of like the true deception where everyone thought they were fine, right? So you never truly know.
You never know who's managing what and how them books are going. That I just find it. I'm not saying that's definitely the case. They could just be greedy too. They could be just greedy. They could be. I don't know.
Millions of cash. Yeah.
Somebody sitting nice. I don't know. It's just very interesting. To monitor this stuff that Tencent seems to always got that phone call. Meet me in the park. I gotta talk to you. I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, we would definitely will. Let's move on to number 6. After the grand success of Psychonauts 2, Xbox first-party studio Double Fine is on to new adventures. In an update on their Fig page, they wrote, quote, "The studio is already splitting into various teams and starting different projects that we think you'll enjoy. We like experimentation here at Double Fine. Every game is a chance to explore new ideas, visual styles, or gameplay, emotions, and more," end quote. It was only back in August of 2021 that Tim Schafer, founder of Double Fine, had the following to say about an upcoming game of theirs, quote, "I think the value proposition now is what we can contribute to the Xbox Game Pass subscription service. I think everything is moving in some form or another to subscriptions. That's just the relationship with players that I think is really great for Double Fine, where we want to do something new and original and surprising, which means there might be a higher barrier of entry for players who don't know what that is, end quote. And I really think this was interesting, Cog, because Psychonauts 2, I speak from a firsthand example of like, I judged that game hard coming in. And I played it, I'm like, wow, this isn't the weird thing I expected. This is a really charming, endearing game. I loved Psychonauts 2. So I thought this is one of the more pleasant surprises of last year. And I'm excited to see they've made a fan out of me, Double Fine, with Psychonauts 2. I'm excited to see what they do next. So how do you feel about their next game being seemingly on that level, like new, original, surprising? So it's going to be probably a little weird knowing their studio culture. How are you feeling about it?
Let's go. This is what I'm talking about. No disrespect to Psychonauts. It's just, and I know it's charming. I know it's great. We knew that entity coming in already, though, right? We knew about Psychonauts 1. We knew Psychonauts 2. I'm most excited about Xbox Game Studios' new projects. Once the commitments are done, right? Yep. We had Compulsion's commitment. We got NXL's commitment, Wasteland. Now we got what's the new thing with the budget? And now I want to know what you do. That, like I said, Project Midnight excites me from Compulsion. Whatever Tim Schafer's doing right now got me hyped because you saw the creativity, you saw the charm, you saw the writing, the humor. It's so much going on with him, right? So it's just in this studio. So now you're going to have a budget. What are you cooking? That, to me, that next generation of Microsoft cooked up IP from the ground up. Yeah. That's what I want to see. So when I hear this, I'm like, let's go Double Fine. This is what I'm talking about. And same with it at NXL. They're in that bag. Because I think those Compulsion, NXL, Double Fine are the three that I'm probably the most unknown, but the most excited. What are they cooking? What are they doing with a budget? Can't wait.
Yeah, I have no idea what to expect out of Double Fine because they've done like Broken Age and they've done Psychonauts. So it just could be anything where it's like, I'm not going to bother guessing. I want to see what it is eventually, and that'll be exciting when it's finally unveiled. But they said multiple teams, various projects. So it sounds like multiple stuff's on the way. Multiple things, rather, are on the way. And
very Obsidian-esque.
Yes. But I like that Xbox is establishing that. Like they're letting these kind of quirky creative studios like a Double Fine, like an Obsidian, split off to their multiple teams and make their random ass games. Like I love that. So very, very, very interested to see what comes out of Double Fine now with a true budget. Because we know, halfway through the development, they were apparently in a really tough spot and they were going to cut boss fights. Microsoft stepped in, went like, here you go, here's some money. And they helped make that game better. So now, like you said, Cog, from the ground up, what are we working with?
What do we get?
All right, number 7. This one's you wrote. Do you want to read it?
Yeah, per Xbox Insider Clobril, and also expanded on our very own Nicholas Downey, LordsGaming.net. Salute. Got to salute the whole team. Got to salute. It looks like Undead Labs is building a new support studio in Orlando, developing a new Microsoft studio under Undead Labs in Orlando, directing animation utilizing Unreal Engine 5 for State of Decay 3, and fostering cross-studio animation technology initiatives across Xbox Game Studios. This is in the first job listing that has pointed out to the third installment of State of Decay running on the latest version of Unreal. This possibly indicates that the State of Decay 3 franchise will be a next generation only title. So, what do you think about this? What do you think about first the listing, with the support studio potentially? And then what are you thinking about just in general, Unreal Engine 5?
Yeah, great find, by the way. And I'm glad you brought this to our attention because you were talking about like the unknowns just a second ago with Double Fine. And I think like Undead Labs is a sneaky unknown when you really look at their story. We're talking about a studio that went from Xbox Live Summer Arcade hit to really, I'd say at launch, derivative sequel that expanded upon to like 5 million plus players by 2019. And now it's definitely grown since then with new expansions, new DLC. It's one of Xbox's bigger games, right? You're looking at that, and now they're working on what seems to be a next generation exclusive. Like I just want to applaud them because I'm like, that's an exciting journey, like for a 1, 2, 3, of course, over many years, but really, really awesome to see. So for me, knowing that State of Decay 3 will be next gen only, here's why this is great, Cog. I want to see if you agree.
Let's go.
The biggest thing I think holding back State of Decay 3 from, I'd say, the mainstream, I got to be honest, and I'm usually not like this.
Talk to me.
The visuals. The visuals.
Ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding. I'm so glad you said that.
The visuals. It's just not a good looking game. It looks
Jank.
very, I love a little jank. I'm a big Greedfall fan. You know, I love
Me
that
too.
type of stuff. But State of Decay 3 being Unreal Engine 5, we've seen what that can do thanks to ye old Hellblade 2. Now we got another game working on it. And apparently the rumor is also that Project Cobalt from In Exile is using Unreal Engine 5, and it'll be a first-person shooter. So we're seeing Xbox, and of course many studios will over time, but we're seeing Xbox really get comfy and cozy with their next generation of titles here. So I want to dish it back to you. How are you feeling about State of Decay 3 from the outside looking in, being it could be a major step up for this game?
Now, this is the one I'm tapped in because, you know, Ratty's got broke the Star Wars joint. You know, for me, I've been following this studio so long, you know, a lot of relationships there.
Right.
And the thing about it is it's this lovable jank.
Yeah.
That is State of Decay. Let's just call it what it is, right? It is not a looker, right? But it is the most fun zombie sim. To me, it's your own personal Walking Dead, the game. If Walking Dead was a game and the permadeath, it's just such fun. I mean, when I came on, me, you, and Carrick, we just ranted about how much we loved it. It is a cult classic that blew up. Now, State of Decay 2, we had high promise, but apparently that was in development before the deal with Microsoft, right? They still had its issues. They had their jank. They had the 4-player co-op with the tether. And it's like, damn, I want to really be able to go everywhere. The potential is endless. And I say all this to say this. The reason why I love what you said about Unreal Engine, and this is my new initiative now. Remember, I had hashtag just one. Now, I don't have a name for this new initiative, but the new one is another reason why a lot of people in PlayStation, Nintendo communities are not jumping on Xbox is because they hear about the power, they hear about the money, but they want to see the visuals. They want to see blown away. And that's what Sony does well with quote unquote less power, right? Mm-hmm. Quote unquote. Yeah. But when you look at Horizon, you like, you look at God, oh my God, what? Did you see the beard and Ellie? And that's what people wanted. They want their socks blown off. Right now, you've got this powerful system, but outside for a few examples, thank you, Hellblade, thank you, Gears. But like people, when you knock people's socks off with graphical fidelity, you have now enamored them to commit. And that's what Undead Labs needed. Yep. This is what State of Decay needed. Mm-hmm. So I'm willing to wait. Now, we did hear rumblings, the development. We did hear rumblings. You know, obviously Strain left. Not even rumblings, it's official now. Strain left, right? The head. And then a couple other people left, Foggy, a couple other people that I know well. And it's not in bad terms, nothing like that. People, moved on. But I wanted to see what's the new direction now. What's going on? Yes, let's get them support studio, please. Let's make this thing the biggest thing ever. Unreal Engine, boom. Now, here's the other caveat the reason why this one is important to me. Cross studio animation tech initiatives. That is key. Mm-hmm. That is key. Let me tell you why. The reason that is key is because now we're going to get the collaboration with these other teams. Oh, Rare. Why? How you guys did that Water and Sea of Thieves like that? Bring that in.
Yeah.
Oh, we're using Unreal Engine 5. You guys do how to make this thing the best thing it can be. And that's exciting me. So I'm willing. It bothers me that we're probably not going to get it. Probably, but if we're going to guess what now, maybe
I don't know.
2024.
Yeah, that's the number in my head is.
Yeah, this is pushback. We ain't seeing this for a while. This is my. I could be wrong. We don't, that we might not see it for a while. But the result of what we're going to get, I'm willing to. What's your man name? Ken Levine. They're like, I'm willing to wait. If it's gonna be what I'm waiting, you can scrap that other stuff. Right. Give me Unreal Engine 5. Give me that cinema that you shown. That I was like, because I remember when I saw that trailer, I was like, y'all not doing that.
Yeah. Now it's a little more believable, isn't it?
Now I'm like,
that's a good point.
Okay, so that's where I'm at. I'm always gonna be an Undead Labs fan. I'm always going to be a State of Decay fan, but I love that franchise. Janky or not, I love it. I just want it to be great. So
also, new studio. New studio.
Hey,
Yeah,
hey,
not bad.
hey, not
for
bad.
them.
Yes, good too. Good point.
Number 8, last bit of news coming soon to Xbox Game Pass. Let's start off with January 4th, which is already here. Gorogoa on cloud, console, and PC. Olija on cloud, console, and PC. And The Pedestrian on cloud, console, and PC. January 6th, already here as well. You get Ember on cloud, console, and PC. Mass Effect Legendary Edition on console and PC. And then Outer Wilds on cloud, console, and PC. So that'll be here by the time everyone's listening. Then what you have to look forward to on January 13th, Spelunky 2 on console and PC. And the Anacrusis via game preview, so it's early access on console and PC. Anacrusis originally supposed to launch fall last year, got a delay quietly. Now it's coming out and it's playable. That game looked really rough, so curious to see how that turns out. Then we got to talk about leaving Xbox Game Pass January 15th. So play these games or forever hold your peace. Desperados 3 on cloud, console, and PC. Ghost of a Tale on PC. Kingdom Hearts 3 exits consoles. Mountain Blade Warband leaves cloud, console, and PC. This was one I slept on for a while. I've been meaning to get to that. Pandemic leaves console and PC. And Yik, a post-mortem RPG, leaves PC. Cog, I mean, we could sit here and talk about this, but I think we should just move into Game Pass pick
Let's
of the
just
week.
move on to Game Pass. You know what this is.
Right.
Take it away.
Game Pass pick of the week. To combine it with our news, it's Mass Effect Legendary Edition, baby. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. This is one of those ones where I knew I just couldn't be patient enough. Like I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, you knew.
We all do. It's again. That's why we talked about the Ubisoft thing, right? We want to see how if they do the EA thing, like how EA did with Trilogy. Trilogy knew they were going to sell like gangbusters. They're like, hey, this is going to come out later on Game Pass. But for anybody who waited, and again, shout out to everybody at the Last Stand Media event. And your boy was up there speaking the good word of Mass Effect 2.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But this is BioWare at its finest. This is the game you need to play. We talked about the relationships. We talked about, lewd behavior and being how you want to be and, Renegade and Paragon. This is the game. This game transformed the era. And Colin even gave me my props. He was like, yo, that's right. I forgot that they had a save system that was the only game that ever transferred to let you go from the next to the next. And they never really done that again in gaming. Get your behind on this trilogy. There's no excuse now. This is the time to do it. Good to see. Great addition. And everybody who haven't played it. And I want to shout out Outer Wilds. I know we didn't just ahead that. I heard it's a really good game. And as far as Game Pass pick of the week, this is by far, this is the gem. This is it. Get your Shepard on. Let's go.
I'm there with you. If I could have felt comfortable picking this for like in my top 5 game of the year, I would have. I didn't think there were enough changes. Like in Mass Effect 1, there were a lot where I was like, could I work it in? I was looking at 2 and 3 when I was playing. I was like, it's just a remaster here otherwise. But they did such a great job. I got to tip my cap to Mass Effect 1. I mean, this game, it's not unplayable, but it doesn't feel great to play. And I'm not saying suddenly it feels amazing in Mass Effect 1, but I kind of get now that it's more playable, the argument that like I put this in quotes, true RPG. Yeah. Because now you've not stripped out the stat play that impacts the weapons, but you've still made it a playable game. It's why I would love, this is such an off the wall ask. I'd love to see Obsidian take Alpha Protocol and give it this kind of treatment, because Alpha Protocol is a game that shooting suffered heavily because of its RPG systems, and it got destroyed for it, understandably so. And Mass Effect 1 kind of skated on by. Like, you'd be right in front of the enemy, just lighting them up, and your reticle is going wide. You're like, yo, this is terrible. This is terrible. And then they cleaned it up in Legendary Edition, and now you can just play it like a third-person shooter with great RPG systems. So I just want to tip my cap to that. If you have not played this trilogy, though, and I know a lot of you have because I'm a huge BioWare guy, Cog loves Mass Effect. If you have not played this, if you have slept on this for a while, now is your time to wake up and play what is one of the best RPG trilogies, if not the best ever made. We got to throw out some love to Dragon Age. We got to throw out some love to Banner Saga. There's some great RPG trilogies. But Mass Effect is BioWare gold. If you have not played it, this is now the perfect time where you can craft your own adventure and transfer saves. It's all there free of charge. Please play it.
Please play it. The possibilities, the relationships, the options, the way it's written so wonderfully that there are possibilities that they knew themselves that not every player would even see, and they still put in that care to have these abilities. And then you play it back, you're like, wow, I didn't even know that could happen. There's a guy, I forgot the YouTuber, he's amazing channel, and I saw things that I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that was possible. Yeah. With this type of
people just post like little clips of the choices you can make. I remember that.
It's amazing. Yeah. Shout out to them. Yeah. Peak Bioware.
Absolutely. I also wanted to shout out Dale Cataracho, who wrote in about another little Game Pass game that I think the Duke dads out there may want to give a look. Shout out to Game Pass for giving my toddler-aged daughter her first Xbox experience with Paw Patrol. I would never have bought the game. In fact, I didn't know that it existed, but knowing she liked the show and seeing a game for it on Game Pass was a big win for me as a dad. She loves the game, and it has been a great time for the family. Just wanted to share it for all the dad dukes out there. Props to Game Pass for the family-friendly content. Like, we've been hitting that away, man. I'm telling you, Lego games, the Lego games. Go get them.
On that WB and stop playing. But that's just me. But yeah, I didn't even know about this Paw Patrol. Okay.
Yeah, I saw it there. Like, it was a list of these kid-friendly games, and then in the middle they had Aliens, Fireteam Elite, and I'm like, oh. And then Halo Infinite. I'm just like, geez, they really are. That was actually, I think, one of their best offerings, because there truly was something across the spectrum for everybody.
For everyone.
That's what you want to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they need it. They need more of it.
With that, Cog, it's time for us to move on to our 5 final questions of the episode.
Get it?
Hey, oh my God. Okay, hold on. Oh my God. All right.
Let's get it.
Cody Richter writes in, hey, I've been rocking the flannel Matty, and Deathloop is the best game I've never played, Cog. Got a short and sweet one for you boys this week. What's your New Year's gaming resolution?
It's a good one. Shout out to me. I'm going to die on that one. I love that, Cody. You came for me. I'll take that one. That's funny. The flannel is the most classic.
We got a flannel emoji in the LSM Discord now because of it.
I gotta check it. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, Dustin let me know. I gotta catch it. Or no, not Dustin. One of my patrons let me know in my Discord.
Oh, okay.
I was like, yo.
I gotta check it.
I went to the Defining Duke chat and I dropped a flannel in there. That was it. I made my appearance. Pop the flannel.
Love it. Got that flannel on. Salute. Gaming resolution. I think doing more. We talked about this before, which is like you said it during your break, which is like, we all, as content creators, have to play a lot of these games, for the sake of it's the moment. It's just like, guys, we got to talk about it. But there is something to say about those, I don't want to call them junk food games or just those comfort food games where you just want, whether it be like how you mentioned with the Samurai Warriors, right? Like that is what I'm talking about. Like, you need that because you need that balance mentally to say, look, I don't have any deadlines now. Like, I'm play what I want to play fully and judgment free. And that was me. I was getting in my Destiny dawning. I was baking my foolish little cookies, I'm going around the tower, giving people stuff, and I'm throwing snowball. I'm having a ball in Destiny. I was like, okay, this is why I like this stupid game. You know what I'm saying? Then they had the little Halo Infinite mock-up weapons. So people judge me like, case in point. ACG shot the carrot. He had a poll like, what's your most anticipated? One of your most anticipated for 2022? And everybody's like, yo, Elden Ring, absolutely, right? Forbidden West, absolute. Starfield, absolute. One of mine, I'm like, yo, I ain't gonna sit here in front like Witch Queen. I'm hype. I am hype. Like February, I know what I'm doing, right? Yeah. So again, it's that. Don't worry about the judgment. Don't worry about what other people think. If that gives you enjoyment, rock out. I know my man Danganronpa and all the stuff he gonna play.
I'm hoping this is the year, man. I'm hoping this year I can pull you off. Like you're gonna be having a steady gaming schedule, and then Danganronpa is gonna come to Game Pass. I'm gonna be like, stop everything you're doing.
Bro, I just got thrown for a loop. I told you about that damn Demio game. Like, I'm like, yo, where did it? Now all I'm thinking about, as soon as it's over, I'm Demio going down. Yeah. Like, play what you want to play. Don't worry about the zeitgeist and what all the hype and like as Matty said, with the people throwing tens around and you think you got to play it. Hey, play what you got to play. That's my resolution. What's your resolution?
Yeah, I've kind of gone through what you're going through again and again. And this year feels like a different energy for me where I typically am with you, like playing the keep up type of thing. I think what I need to do is not act like you've got all the time in the world. I think I need, this may sound weird at first, but more urgent gaming. So when I beat Trails in the Sky 1, it's a 40-hour game. I was like, okay, I really like that. I do want to play the sequel. I had it on my computer. I bought it during the Steam sale for $20. I was like, okay, like, I think I'm going to play it. I was like, no, like, I'm not going to do that. I got time. I'm going to do this game over here. I'm going to flounder in that a little bit. I'm going to do this over here. And then I realized, I'm like, it's January. For me, at least, Pokemon Legends Arceus is like the first game I care about that's coming out this year. Beyond that, it's like Elden Ring, Dying Light. Like, I know February is going to be review season, right? That's where I buckle down. So for me, it's rather, I'd say, opportunistic gaming, not urgent gaming. This January, Matt, go beat that second Trails game. Go beat that second Trails game. You got the time. So when I'm reviewing those games, at times I felt myself going like, okay, here we go, another review. It doesn't affect the score, but I'm like, okay, here we go. Like, I want to be more excited when I sit down for the review process and not like, I could be playing like, oh, I'm going to drop this game over here. Or because I wasn't opportunistic, I'm like 5 hours into a game and I got to drop it. And I'm like, when you come back, it's not hitting the right way. So for me, it's really that and making sure that I satiate myself in the right ways. Like the other night, I was hankering some Battlefront 1, the OG from Pandemic. And I was like, you know what? I don't need to binge this game. Like, let's play an hour of this. And I did that. It was fun. And I was like, okay, taste satisfied. Like, I don't need to go crazy with this. I just wanted to play it for a little bit. And that was it. Like, indulging a little bit. Like, what happens is every year I save my classic game runs, my OG retro stuff for the end of the year when I have no work. So I'm like, I can do it here. But I'm like, I buy and collect all these games and they just sit there. It's like,
just sit.
It's like toy with them a little bit. Play with your new toys, Matty, right? So opportunistic gaming is my personal one. It's like, January, it's a dead month. I'm sure there'll be a dead month in the summer. And with that, like, I want to make sure I take some more time off. So on the weekends, like, have some time to really put the hours into gaming beyond reviews. Which, again, I'm not complaining about. I love reviewing. You'll hardly find someone who loves reviewing more than I do because it's just my favorite content to make. I love breaking down what I like or dislike. I don't know. I guess the curse of someone who has a lot of opinions, but I just, to me, to balance that all out, it's like I need to find places to play where I'm just playing for me, not just for content.
Absolutely. Respect it.
Let's talk with Jamie Anderson. Hey, gang. Why do you think the Coalition / Microsoft is so unwilling to do a Gears collection like Master Chief Collection or a Gears 2 Ultimate Edition? Gears is the best series Xbox has, in my opinion, and we need new players to experience the classic multiplayer populated since Gears 4 and 5 ain't all that great. Ooh.
Wow. Disrespectful. Okay. You ain't like 5, clearly.
I guess so.
4, I guess. But I do understand what Jamie's talking about, though, because it is weird that we got, the Gears 1 remastered Ultimate Edition, and it stopped there.
Yeah.
Which was strange. And then it was just like, all right, the rest you're just going to get on back. Yes, they got the FPS boost and all that stuff, but it is weird to me why the rest of the series isn't treated like the way Master Chief Collection is treated. And it is a pillar franchise. I don't understand.
Super important.
The only guess I can think of is, see, I got to look at the timing of when Master Chief Collection came out, because when Master Chief, all right, so in 2014, are we gonna? Yeah, it makes sense now. Okay, this is my theory. The reason why it happened with 2014 is because Xbox backward compatibility and all that stuff didn't come out until 2015. So probably, I don't want to say it's laziness, but probably they want to promote that program. And like, oh, well, we got these games already and we'll boost them and stuff like that. But I would like the remastered treatment. I like the fact that Gears 1 Ultimate Edition got all that. Like, I would love 2, 3, Judgment, all of it. Let's just go. Let's put them in a collection kind of thing. And then the last thing is the Marcus Phoenix thing. Maybe they want to get away from that because, I don't know, Kate is the protagonist. Sure. So maybe there's some issues there, but it is weird. It's weird why you don't see it. I don't know.
I like your theory a lot. Gears has carried you through Xbox One. Gears was standing, I think, shoulder to shoulder with Halo in its heyday. Like that was the game.
Facts.
You were like, yo, do you got Gears? All right, we're playing. What's your gamer tag? Yo, do you have Halo?
Big time.
All right, what's your gamer tag? Like those were the multiplayer phenomenons. And there's no doubt. I mean, remember, this was actually when Carrick and I were doing the show. There was a post for Gears 5, like one of the seasons they were doing. And it was like a tease that was indicating something, I think, to do with Gears 2 characters or Gears 2 like equipment you could wear. People were losing their shit thinking it was Gears 2 Ultimate Edition. So there's a demand there that's not small. And I would rather them do the Gears collection like they did the Master Chief collection, like a whole compilation, because there's so many games to pick from. Some are now FPS boosted through the 360 program. Yeah. So I'm hoping Xbox is not saying like, oh, that's it. You know, I really want them to give it that treatment. So I'm there with Jamie on that front because, I mean, again, imagine the template of Master Chief Collection where you could go into the multiplayer, you could pick the mode, you could pick the game, and like, yo, boys, let's queue up for Gears 2. Let's queue up for Gears 3 tonight. You know, I think Gears 5 are far enough out now where it's not going to hurt that game. Yeah. You know, it's not like I think with Fallout 76 where if you release now a Fallout game, like you're just breaking the knees of Fallout 76.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's far enough out. I don't think Gears 5 or 4 even for that matter, like had multiplayer that bad where it's going to get crushed by old Gears. But yeah, people will flock to it. So what? That's good. People are playing Gears. And again, we got to remember they're making the newest Gears for Unreal Engine 5. And they said it's going to take a while. What are Gears fans going to play? What are Gears fans going to play?
I see what you know,
is it a tactics sequel, which I want to complain about?
Oh, please give me more tactics, please.
But, you know, for the classic Gears fans, what are we going to do?
Need something. Yeah, they need something. This to me screams business. This to me screams resources. This to me screams we've got a back compat. And I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope they revisit it. But I think they're like, oh, we got those already. They, back compat program. We ain't really going to do it right, so hope not, though.
That's a question we should just like over time write down. Because I'll put it out into the ether, when we talk to Phil Spencer one day, it's a question I'd like to ask him. Like, hey, what's up with Gears, right? Like, why are we not getting that collection? Why is it getting just one remaster of like, I like the first game. I kind of like its gothic almost atmosphere.
I love the first game.
But that's not the heralded one, right? Like, Gears 3 is. Gears 2.
Yeah, Gears 3 is up there. Oh, for sure. Gears 3 is up there.
Just something I was thinking about, but
they need to do it. I would love for them to do it.
Mm-hmm. Let's start with Brett Medlock. Need to rant a little. Microsoft created a team of developers to port OG Xbox games and Xbox 360 games to Xbox One. Then they 4K enhanced a lot of those games when the One X launched. Now, more recently, they added FPS boost to many of those games on the series consoles. And still, after all that, they still don't have a dedicated category on the Xbox store to showcase what OG Xbox and 360 games are offered through backwards compatibility or which have enhancements. They don't even have FPS boosted as a category in there. To add to that, aside from initial announcements, they never market the amazing accomplishments its own team achieved. Is it just me, or is Microsoft dropping the ball with a lot of its marketing? Most people don't even know games like Mirror's Edge play at a native 4K 60 FPS with auto HDR on Series X, and it looks amazing. Sorry, this is so long. No need to ever apologize to anyone writing in, especially you, Brett, good friend of mine. Appreciate that write-in. It's a good thing to spotlight. Why does Xbox do this to themselves? Why are they doing self-inflicted wounds here?
Absolutely. Brett is on fire. Like, I am literally in the preview programs yelling this. Like, why aren't they sortable? Why don't I have a column that says boosted games? All these games have at 4K. Like, where is that? Like, there needs, like, this is what kills me with them sometimes. They are the innovators of some of the greatest programs and initiatives in gaming, yet they don't market. Like, they don't, even in their own dashboard. Like, they just assume everyone's a hardcore gamer. They assume everyone's on Twitter. Everyone read their Xbox Wire post. Like, no, they did not. Like, a lot of it is word of mouth. You know how many people hit me up and say, excuse me. Hey man, I just got it. Is this one going to be 60 frames? Do you know?
Yeah.
Me and you go at it like, yo, is it? Did that one get the go?
Yeah, you gotta look up an article on fucking GameSpot. Like,
bro, I should be able to go on the phone on the UI and it tell me all those things. There should be a logo. There should be emblazoned, and they just don't. Even Xbox All Access, people don't know about that. There's so many things people just don't know that they offering. And then I don't understand it. Now, I did hear internally they're working on it. These are things on the docket, but they've got to do better. You're self-inflicted wounds. You said it best.
I just, what's interesting, and this isn't me like jumping on like Jason Ronald, but like that list can grow infinitely, right? Like saying it's on the list, it's on the docket. It's like, how much does that accomplish? It's about the prioritization. I feel like this is a small ask with a significant payoff. It's like, let people know that you have games on the 360, on the original Xbox, that if they see it's boosted. Maybe that's why this, I know they shut down the service because they were like, oh, we did everything we could and we couldn't figure it out.
Right.
Okay, I'll believe that for now. And I'll just say, like, maybe if you brought more attention to it, you would be more motivated to find some solutions. Maybe. Again, that's me putting my skeptical cap on. Just a little bit. Not saying I don't believe it. I can understand, they just, after 2 years of silence, kind of that last, like, shoveling off. It's like, yep, we tried. Here's all you've got. 50 cent blood in the sand.
Matty, be nice. They done gave you like, 60, 70 games, whatever it is. But I feel you. Listen, I'm with you, though. I'm greedy, too. And I'm never going to stop asking. Yep. I'm never going to stop asking. And there's time. I want you to get your jet set. I need to get my rise. Let's go. So I'm with you on that. But they've got to do better. It's just, that is something inherently you created. You need to showcase it. It needs to be easily visible and accessible. Make it happen, please.
Amen, brother. Let's move on to the next one from Sam Kingma. Howdy, Duke and Lord. First time writing in for DD. With all the talk of the Xbox Studio acquisitions, I've been thinking about other ways Microsoft could offer excellent exclusives without having to lock down a studio. What do you guys think about Xbox licensing out their unused or dormant IP to great third-party developers / indies to help improve the catalog of Game Pass? Hope you have a Sega just shadow drop Jet Set Radio Future HD kind of day. Hey, speaking of, have you seen this game called Bomb Rush Cyberpunk?
No, what's that?
Hold on, bro. Hold on.
Let me see.
I think you're muted, by the way. Hold on. You gotta see this thing here.
Can you hear me now? Still? No. Okay. Still muted?
So,
okay.
You
can hear me, right?
Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Oh, no. Team Reptile's the one who posted it. Let's see here. I am going to... Okay, I found it. It's incredible here. And I think in the meantime, my headset died, so I may have been talking over you.
Oh, okay. I'm bugging. I'm talking. Okay. Cool.
Watch that in the meantime. But let's see. Can I hear you now?
Yeah. What about now? Mic check.
Hold on.
Yeah, it's your headset because I'm getting feedback, bro. I'm definitely, my mic is
This is what I get for using a wireless headset.
Damn. Oh, this game looks fire. While he's working that out, y'all.
Got it.
Yeah, can you hear me now? This game, oh my God, looks fire. Oh, this is so you.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Tell me about it, right? For those who haven't looked it up, it's from Team Reptile. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. They got bikes and skateboards now. It's not just rollerblades, man. It looks so good. It looks amazing.
Looks fire.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man. 2022, the year of business decisions, and that one is not getting cut. Okay. But anyway, to Sam's question here before my headset died, let's talk about Microsoft licensing out some of their dormant, unused IP to third-party developers. I wanted to point out one that I thought was an interesting example, two actually. One, Marvel, really Disney, Star Wars, Marvel, how they're licensing it out. The other, a little different, a little more crafty, Nickelodeon. They contracted Game Mill to make Nick All-Stars Brawl, which I thought was a very good game. Got the platinum trophy in it. There are notable flaws, but for a budget title, I thought they did a good job with it. They also did, oh my God, what was the other game that Nickelodeon had licensed out for? It was All-Star Brawl. Oh, and TMNT, the Shredder's Revenge game, the 16-bit beat 'em up. They got Dotemu involved, right? Like that's
those my people,
right? Like smart acquisition, right? So I'm thinking Xbox should get in on this a little bit. They got some IP lying around there. We heard them talk about, we don't want to let Killer Instinct die.
Yeah.
Find someone who's willing to do the job. You don't got fighters, and you don't got anyone
Yeah,
under
they
the
definitely
umbrella
will.
who's willing to do it right now. So go outward.
This is a tough one.
Mhm.
I might be the contrarian here.
Okay.
This is a tough one because I feel the sentiment, but I worry. Again, I look at that Power On documentary. I look at the Xbox One era. They just didn't control enough stuff. And the caveat is this: if they could do it third party, but they own it and it ain't going nowhere, sure. You know, I just worry about rights and usage and who owns what, and if there's a problem, then there can't be a next one made. So they have to be very, you know, cognizant contractually. They own it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get to make it, but you ain't going nowhere with it. Or if you stop developing it, it ain't gonna die with you, right? This sounds like common sense stuff, but I just don't know that this is what we got to get Holt going. By the way, we got to really get Mr. Holt Law. I feel he hasn't been on the Duke yet. I don't even think he's been on the Duke yet. Right?
He came on for us.
Well, he did for Destiny.
That and the contract.
That Marty O'Donnell actually listened to.
Yes, yeah, right, yeah.
Shout out to Marty O'Donnell for listening to Define Duke Ultimate. Salute
like,
to you.
Fucking dickheads and unsubscribed.
He's mad. Hey, we had to talk about it. We had to talk about it.
We had to.
You know, he was out of pocket.
We had to.
But look, at the end of the day, shout out to Marty. I like Marty. I would love the contractual aspect of that. I would love to get his insight because that's my only concern. I just want to make sure that they're not, you know, they still run that and they can go and make sequels and stuff like that. Because the problem with the Xbox One era, they didn't have any first party studios to control and make the games, and the IP stayed with them, right? Now the problem now is you got the studios, but everyone's doing their own thing, and there's some genres that there's holes in. And maybe these studios don't necessarily want to do that. So this is where your argument comes in, which is like, yo, give it to a studio who's known for the pedigree of making the fighting, the family, the just ones and all that. So that's where I agree with you. I just want to know contractually how that works. That's all.
Yeah, I'm for this, but I also understand it's easy for a fan to say like, oh, go give your thing that you worked on to some random team and hope that they make the good game. Like, obviously, with the complexity of game development, it's like, just handing them the license isn't as easy as I'll do it 1,000,001 times and suggest it because I think there are team ups that just give Obsidian Fallout, just give it Exile Fallout. Like, I get it. There are deals that can be struck that can make sense, but it's not as easy as just like a phone call. Hey, you can do this. Like, there's much more beyond it. That said, I do look at some of these Xbox games that have been left behind. I feel like now's the time, man. Banjo, bring it back. I think the time for Death Row is here.
I'm with you.
I think Xbox needs to do something for that Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. I really do, because Jet Set, you clearly, based off what you said about your back compat FPS boost program, you can't get that on. Get the new one. Get the new one. That people are. Do you see how many retweets and likes that thing had?
That thing is fire. I didn't even know about that. That looks
popping
fire.
Off. 11K retweets, 40K likes. Over 500,000 views in 8 hours. And we're talking about this, what would apparently be a niche kind of Jet Set Radio-like skating game. And it's like, people are in on this, man. They're in on this. Get on stuff like that if you're not going to use your dormant IP. You're not going to do those relationships because people want this stuff and they're clearly willing to pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, I had another thought in reference to it. It's just, they got to do a better job with it. They have to, because this is the stuff you can't miss out on. And I worry with them sometimes with just missing out on this. On these are your IPs, your ideas, and to not have them be utilized is, that's a mistake in my opinion. You shouldn't. You should be able to do that, and that's why I want to know how they handle it moving forward. I would love to see. I got my thought back now. What it is the weakness to them also with presentation, which again, they've come a long way with presentation. We've gotten better. But the weakness to them is they don't do what Nintendo and Sony still does better, which is get the hope up. And when I'm talking about that hardcore base, you know what I'm saying? Get the hope up. You got to execute on these fan requested things that you actually can control. Right? You actually can control whatever the Mech Assault and a Rise 2. I mean, within level of reason, there's some things you can do, right? And say, hey, yo, guys, we know you want that. Even if it was the JPEG that you're just working on it, right? You will see the goodwill. You know what I'm saying? Like that they need to get. I know the acquisitions are great. We love what they're doing with Game Pass. Everything that, you know, for the most part, they're great this generation. They still need those wonder moments like, oh my God, yo, they got
That's how I felt about KOTOR, man. Like, right?
Yes.
That was a wonder moment for PlayStation for me. Like, I always will applaud PlayStation for getting that done. That was a wonder moment. Same thing with Wolverine. Oh my God, it's not just Spider-Man. It's Wolverine. Like, you're totally right. That's the thing they're missing. They're missing they have exciting new stuff, but not. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just the exciting new stuff, and that wonder moment. It's a perfect term. We're going to return to that for the rest of this year for sure.
Wonder. It might be Wonder DD in a minute.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's like, bro, like they're good at wonder with hardware.
Yeah.
Hardware is the wonder. They give you the render. You're like, oh my God, the cylindrical, the box, it's coming out the water. Yeah. Like, I want that with the game that we've been wanting. Like, could you imagine if they did secure if this Ubisoft thing secured the Splinter Cell exclude, and then you have that and this include, like, you've got it. These are your DNA. Like, this is you. Your fans need that. You got to push. That's what Sony does so well. That's what Nintendo does so well. At the end of it, it's some obscure thing that they know their fans want, that it's always been rumored or dreamed about and hoped and wished, and they execute. And with Microsoft, it's more, well, we bought this, or here's the hardware, or this is in-game.
You're not wrong.
And that's cool.
Yeah, it works.
That's cool. Give us the wonder, man. Give us
the
that
dream announcement.
Yeah, dude, I can't believe they did. The closest it was, and again, I hate to use acquisition, was Bethesda.
I agree.
Bethesda was the closest thing. Was, oh my God! But again, it was an acquisition, not a game. Like a particular game. You need that game. Like I'm telling you right now, Ninja Gaiden. Oh my God, they got da. You know what you said, the Jet Sets. There's certain games that they resonate with the community. And if you push that, like KOTOR would have been the slam dunk. That came with you. You debuted that. Now that you letting this with the other, this guy got his hand on arm around your girl. This is your girl. Like, anyway, enough ranting.
I agree, though. We need that wonder moment for sure.
Yes.
Eric Isaiah is our last write-in for the episode. Good day, Magnificent Matty and Ducognito. New patron here from the Philippines. Welcome, Eric. This is my first time I ever subscribed to anyone here on Patreon. My question is for Matty. As a Larian Studios fan like yourself, what would you recommend while I am waiting for Baldur's Gate 3's full release? And since Larian Studios are becoming more and more successful, do you think Microsoft will buy them sooner or later? Why or why not? Thank you, as always, for the great show. P.S. Matty, you should have chosen Divinity Original Sin 2 as the best game ever and not Toy Story 3. I did have Divinity Original Sin as like, here's the games you know me for. And I was like, here's what I'm going to pick. I love this question because I thought even though it's directed at me, I wanted you to get in on it, on things like that we're talking about isometric hardcore RPG. You're Lord turn-based, right? So I know you're going to be chock full of suggestions for Eric as well. You know, of course, he's recommended Divinity Original Sin 2 as the best game of all time. So I'm going to assume Eric has enjoyed the plethora of Larian Studios titles. But Eric, I'm going to point you in the direction of Larian's best competitor.
Oh,
Wasteland 3.
Oh, fire.
Eric, you might have played it based off your taste here, but Wasteland 3 is in a lot of ways, I think, a lot more fun than Divinity. Divinity's a game that when I pick up, it's how I define games like SMT5. Like you pick it up and you've got to be invested. You can't slack. Right. With Wasteland 3, there is a tactical awareness required, but it's a fun game. You're talking to a parrot who's cursing you out. You're skill checking for stuff. It's a wild, wacky world. Combat's full of explosions. There's 6 team members. You can play it in co-op, just like Baldur's Gate 3. Eric, I'm telling you, if you have not gone to the promised land, this is your chance to do so while you wait. I'm right there with you, Eric. For me, I swore off Baldur's Gate 3. I was like, nope. I touched in early access for PAX for a preview. I played it for myself afterwards at home with a more extensive period. I went, yep, this is a Larian game. This is going to be amazing. They upped their cutscenes. They changed the dialogue. It's fully voiced from the get-go. Like, this game, COG, looks incredible. Starfield, beware. Because if this comes out in the fall, like, I'm going to have a tough time.
Tough decision, yeah.
Because I love Larian, man. And they literally made what I think last generation was the best RPG in Original Sin 2. And the only one that came close was Wasteland 3. Yeah, man. Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. And to anyone who's interested, it's full co-op. So yeah, that's why Baldur's Gate 3, I swore off. I was like, this is the next co-op RPG grind for me. Absolutely. Like, there's other stuff in there that's going to be cool that I'll play, but this is like the game that's like 80 hours. We replay it again. Kyle, I want to dish it to you. Our friend Eric, looking for a game to play while he waits. What do you think?
Game to wait. I got to go back to my old reliable, man. And I forgot to add this on the list too. I was doing a lot of it on cloud.
I know where you're going.
You know where I'm going. You know, it's that lower term base is that one game. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Bro, Phoenix Point, man. Come on. Like, y'all got to stop sleeping. Yeah. Y'all got to stop sleeping. These guys are sleeping. This game is amazing. Yeah. The new content, crazy roadmap. I just saw the roadmap. They got more stuff coming. They got like 5 pieces of content right now. What I like, it integrates into, so you could do a new playthrough and integrate the new stuff into the thing. Get on that Phoenix Point, y'all. It is amazing. So I'm with you on the Wasteland. I love that one. I got to get back with Attic. I got to hit that because we started a co-op. We did a streaming session.
You might have said this. You said this is co-op?
No, not Phoenix Point.
Oh, I was going to say.
Phoenix Point is not. Phoenix Point is not. Okay. No, Phoenix Point is not. That would have been over.
Yeah, that would have been over. I would have been like.
Right. See, that when you said co-op, remember how I told you about Demio earlier? That's why I was going crazy for because I had co-op. Phoenix Point is not, but that's why I give Wasteland 3 it's due because it's really well done. And I brought up Attic because, you know, we started a streaming series. We got to get back to it where we were playing it together and people were loving it. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Yo, all right, set up over here. All right, I'm here. Like, we would have a ball with Wasteland 3. I got to get back to it because the reason why I haven't finished it is because I want to do the entire playthrough with him through co-op. It's just scheduling and stuff like that. But yeah, these are great games, man, and definitely hit up that Phoenix Point for the solo player.
I gotta. This might be an opportunistic moment for me here, like little Phoenix, little trails in the sky. I mean, this game looks great. Like when I was just reading about it, next gen version's out. It's like,
let's go. The next gen version's out. You got you. I know you don't use quick resume.
Yeah, I know.
But they got the 4K. They got the update. Yeah. The loading is finally taking advantage of the hardware.
I know you said that was a big thing for you. So
huge thing. I was a pet peeve of mine with that damn game.
As for the other part of Eric's question, will Microsoft buy Larian Studios? Why or why not? I think with any studio, right? It's especially the lowly independent ones like Larian. Larian's very crowd driven. If anyone's ever watched any of their crowdfunding update videos, you've got I forget his last name, but Svig. He shows up with like he'll wear armor in the update videos, like full on medieval armor. They'll make skits out of like announcements. Like they have so much fun. And I don't know. To me, they don't scream to me a studio that like wants a overhead. Like they have a lot of fun working with the crowd and doing crowdfunded stuff and making games literally for the fans. So to me, you know, I would love to see it just because I think it would be a great get for Xbox. I want more people to experience their games. I want them to get to a point where it's not what they're doing here, like Baldur's Gate, early access, beta testing for years, then the full release. And it's kind of anticlimactic because you've already seen parts of it all over because people just keep playing it and showing and talking about it. It's like, and then you got to wait for the console version because now it's finally out on PC. You got to wait for console version. I love the console version of Divinity Original Sin 2. It's where I put most of the time of the game in. And then they do a Switch version like 2 years later. I want them to get to the point where they're just on their shit like console day one, you know? And I get it. That's why their games are so excellent because they get to get that feedback. So people like me coming in afterwards from the no early access are like, oh, what do you guys got cooking for me?
What's going on?
So I get why they do the process they do. And it probably benefits them more in the long run, but I just want to see console stuff day one. If that means an acquisition would be necessary, then I'm a little bit more for it because I like to kick my feet up with these games. Again, they're very high investment, long time sinks.
Absolutely. No, great point. And that's the benefit if it does happen. And yeah, because you want these guys to be around and you want it to get how you feel about that is the way I feel about XCOM. It's just like, brother, what's going on? Where you at? Like, because I know you go to PC first and you got to do the testing. And
with the
and they're a bigger studio.
The Squad one, I forgot what it was called with like the
Chimera.
Yeah.
And that still ain't come to where's Chimera Squad? I want to play. I want to play it on Xbox so bad. Like I have it on PC, but I'm like, what am I choosing? Because it's like Colin said it. Like I've literally played every XCOM in the Xbox ecosystem, so I want to keep the tradition of mine. I got the full score. I don't really want to. I have it on Steam, but I don't want to go get too invested because that's where I really want to do it. So
real quick, I don't mean to stretch out this episode as we near 3 hours, but I got to ask you for a business decision here as I really contemplate my XCOM-like experience.
Let's go.
Does Matty go for War of the Chosen or does he go for Phoenix Point Behemoth Edition? I know it's a really tough one, but I'm sure I can't be the only one.
Why are you doing this to me?
I know.
You're making me choose between mom and dad.
Do I take the new guy in town out for a stroll?
All right.
Okay, here we go.
This is tough. Julian, forgive me. Look, Julian is the GOAT. He created the series. But I have to admit, it's just something about Firaxis. It's something about Jake Solomon and the team. And shout out to Mark Norda. We had him on. He did Chimera. They've evolved the formula. I just like the way they've evolved it. Now, with Phoenix Point, Julian Shoyo, the old boy, don't think I ain't got new tricks too. So Phoenix Point was more of, I am not outdated. I am still the creator of this genre, and I'm going to show you a different lane. But I have to say, Firaxis actually has a better narrative.
Okay.
I don't feel I care as much. I feel the gameplay of Phoenix Point is so great that it allows me to overlook what's going on really with their world. Okay. Whereas Firaxis, I'm like, yo, the aliens and it. Like, it's a true story integrated into turn-based. So, gun to my head, but it's close.
Yeah. Can't go wrong either way, but this is the one.
You can't go wrong either way. XCOM 2, War of the Chosen, in my opinion, is the GOAT. There is no better turn-based game than that. It is the complete package. And as far as difficulty,
what I want to do is I want to build up a little COG cache. So when my Danganronpa days arrive, it's like,
let's go.
I'm taking my check out and I'm cashing it in at the COG bank.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Now, XCOM, man, I love that game. And here's the thing. It's tough. It's tough, bro.
I remember the final fight in XCOM 2.
It's so tough. I forgot who, I think I was talking at the time we were talking, Matt Vizcatella at the time. He was just like, I had to quit it because it's just too much. It will break you in the beginning. But it gives you, when you research and you finally survive and, okay, I'm turning the tide against the aliens. Okay, I got this. Now I got more scientists. I got more engineers. Okay, we're making this. Yeah, and then you're building your base. Now you really feel like you're fighting back. Yeah. And then the last point I'll make is they have the alien factions. And then you can work with the resist. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. XCOM 2.
Right on. Notes taken. Yes. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we arrive at the end of our episode 51 for Defining Duke. We hope you all enjoyed. We had scoops, jokes, lots of news, both funny and serious. So it was quite a range of emotions this episode. And it's hopefully a good tone setter for 2022, where we have really exciting stuff planned for DDU. I've already reached out to a couple folks for upcoming episodes. COG, you know what those episodes are. We're really trying to push that moving forward, not just because it's Patreon show, but like I always say, when I look at what Colin does with Sacred Symbols Plus, I want to give that kind of offering for DDU, and I know we can do that together. So very excited for that. But with that, we have to pick our hashtag, and I think you aptly described it earlier.
Yeah, let's do Wonder DD. We got to bring the wonder back to gaming. We got to get excited again. All these good things happening, but we want more. We want the wonder.
Yes, indeed.
So that's where I'm going.
I'm right there with you. So if you got this deep, comments, Patreon posts, Twitter at G27status, at Lord Cognito, let us know wherever you want. Hashtag WonderDD that you got this deep into the episode. We appreciate you listening in. And if you listened this far and you haven't left that mobile rating, just know.
Yes.
You've just consumed almost 3 hours of podcasting content. You can tolerate us to some extent. Get in that app right now. This is me. This is me sweating, y'all. And once I see it past 500, watch me wash my hands of it. Watch me shut up. It's possible.
Help the Dukes out, man. You're having a good time. Support the content.
Hell yeah.
We really enjoy it. It's good being back. It didn't even feel like it was that long. I guess there's so much to talk about, and it was fun, man. Always a fantastic episode.
Absolutely. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much again. We'll talk with all of you soon. Take good care of yourselves, and peace out.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.